This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
There we go. All right. Okay, so you can go ahead and start.
All right, I've called the meeting to order, and we'll start with the supplemental agenda. And the one qualification of directors.
Joan,
Yes.
do you want to sit and take your oath, or do you want to stand and take your oath? Jo has completed her affidavit as director, and statement of elected official. So you can sit. You don't have to stand if you don't want to. It's up to you.
Okay.
All right, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Joanne Smith,
Joanne Smith,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duty of the office
of director
of director
of Trail of the Lakes Mud
of Trail of Lakes Mud
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve and protect and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States of America
and of this state.
and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And then, there's your oath of office to complete.
Thank you.
Thanks, Deb. And then your next item is to elect officers. So what the board has historically done, is kind of step up, and if that is what you choose to continue to do, the order would be Tim Pendleton as president, Joe Smith as vice president, Troy King as secretary, Crystal Kirby as assistant secretary, and James Stubblefield as director. And that's because historically new directors stay as directors because it is a learning period. And that's, again, what you've all have historically done for, gosh, 8, 9, 10 years. That doesn't mean that that's how you have to do it. That's just what you've always done. So it's up to you all how you want to do it.
Nominate Joan for president?
Yes, so if you want to keep this slate the same, you can, as I just described it, then you all can make a motion to effectuate the slate of officers as I described them.
No.
Or if you want to go one by one, you can go one by one.
Make a motion to do the slate of officers as mentioned.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Okay. Tim?
Okay, on to the agenda. Consideration of public comments, 3-minute limit per person or 5-minute limit per subject, whichever is less. Do we have any comments from our people up there?
Hello, can y'all hear me?
I'm sorry, we cannot hear you. Hold on one second.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Sorry. Are you muted?
Maybe
Philip?
output.
Yes, this is Philip. Can you hear me?
Um,
Is this the speaker as well? The mic and the speaker, is it the same?
yeah, it's the same.
Because that name that popped up wasn't the last thing that you, I don't think it was the second on the mic. You changed it. So you see it says the C922 call string, that's not the same speaker. That's Alexa.
It's the microphones.
There you go.
Yes.
I'll just try all of them.
Yeah. All right, sir, can you speak again?
Can you hear me?
No. Not that one, I think that one's already.
Can you try again?
Yes, can you hear
Can
me?
you talk?
Did you try the bottom one before you did it?
Try again? Don't
Okay,
understand.
can you hear me?
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah, we.
He's in the cabinet.
oh, you're in the cabinet. So if you could speak up, I apologize. I don't know why we're seemingly having some technical issues with speakers.
That's all right. This is Philip Davis. You said it's open for public comment right now?
Yes, sir, it is. Yeah,
Okay.
but no, it's not, we can't hear him on any of the other ones. And the volume's up on that, right? I'm sorry, sir. Go ahead. I apologize.
No, that's fine. I'm sure y'all don't get too many people at these meetings, but I'm a homeowner. I'm also on the HOA for the Forest Community Association.
Okay,
And
sir, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Hold on one second and let me try to figure out what's going on with the speaker. It's just not quite loud enough.
Okay, tell them what you said, what you say.
Oh, I just wanted to, okay, just fine.
All right, try again.
okay, can you hear me?
Is volume up on the TV?
I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know what's happening. Either. All right, sir, can you try again?
Yes, can you hear me?
Wait, hold on one second. All right, again?
Yes, can you hear me?
There we go.
Yay.
All right,
Okay.
I'm sorry, please start over. I apologize.
Yes. So my name is Philip Davis. I am the Forest HOA president. And the only comment I really had for this meeting is, and this has been my complaint for years, is that I still would like to have the meetings held in district at a time that is more convenient for people who live in the district, which would be after hours, after 5 o'clock. Luckily, I have a lunch break today and could attend this meeting, but that's not always the case for a lot of people that attend or that would want to attend the meeting. So that's really all I have to say. I believe y'all could confirm this, but I believe there is a way for homeowners to complete a petition if they want to petition the mud board to have the meetings held actually within 10 miles of the district, I believe. So that might be
Yes.
something pursuing.
Do y'all want me to answer what he answered? So yes, there is a process for that. One has actually been completed. It's actually to designate a meeting place inside the boundaries of the district within 10 miles of the district. The district actually already has several meeting places designated in that area. But the board has historically chosen to have their regular meetings here. With that said, they are certainly welcome to change it. There was a lot of research done a few years ago to look at some available spaces adjacent to the district that would accommodate a group of this size. And because there was a cost, if I recall correctly, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, because there was a cost associated with rental of those spaces, the board opted to continue to do this. Now, I will say that that petition was submitted to the TCEQ. A ruling was never received on that, and that was approximately 2 years ago. So the TCEQ never ruled on that. But they were provided with all of the information about the designated meeting places. With that said, if the board wants to consider or reconsider designated meeting places in the district, that's something that can certainly go on the agenda for the board to consider.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess that took care of number 2, consideration of property owners associations. Any more? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So, now to test this, of course, we've got that dumpster at the pool, and it's not proven sufficient right now. During the summer, we've had quite a bit of trash that is being left outside of the dumpster because it is completely full. And I know that's why maybe it's hard for the trash company because they're having to get out, get the extra bags, whatnot, and it's a front loader machine, so that's very cumbersome for them, I'm sure, as well. And I just want to see if maybe we could get a slight increase in the dumpster size so that there wouldn't be, it's not a whole lot of extra bags, but so that we wouldn't have the additional trash sitting outside.
Okay, what size do they have now?
Right now, I believe it's a 4-yard, because I was talking with Ken about it, what the price increase would be for a 6 or 8-yard. And I think it was like $30 a month.
Actually, currently on the pool, that's complimentary.
Oh, okay.
The one that we would charge for is the one that Resignation is.
Oh, okay.
Y'all are being built, so we're going to $1,000 a month. We've got pricing for that. So complimentary, we can move it up to an 8-yard. Absolutely. I'll have to get that.
We're going to talk about it in the trash section.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And thank you all, I appreciate that.
All right.
Okay, so the pricing that Jared worked up, Jared's on our commercial side.
Well, we'll talk about the trash section. When we get down to the trash. Yeah.
Okay, we need to approve the May 14th, 2025 special and the June 2nd, 2025 regular meeting minutes.
I'm making a motion to approve it.
I second it.
All approved. Review committee assignments and take any necessary action on same.
So because there has been an adjustment in the board members, we do have your list of board committees that you all need to make appointments to. As of right now, certainly some of them need to be filled in. If you all choose to continue to fill it in, you can create additional committees if you'd like to do that. But one in particular needs an appointee because Virginia was that sole appointee by contract.
This is the one that's your package.
The paper like that.
Yeah. This is the one that you are not going to be bound. No, the packet that was sitting right here.
Yeah, we can trade off this one.
I think having.
Oh, there's.
I got it, I found it, I found it. Okay.
So the first committee is the Parks Committee. As of right now, it is Crystal and Joe. Do you all want to keep those committee assignments? And if not, then there would need to be a motion to nominate people for that committee.
Yeah, I'm fine with saying
I'm fine with keeping it.
The only question I would ask is the Parks committee is if we could kind of transfer more from just worrying about just the maintenance of it, but kind of get into the planning and stuff too.
We,
So like the last time when we were having that conversation with Tara and stuff about what's moving forward, and the comment was made was that the Parks Committee only worries about maintenance of the parks and not
no, I
planning.
never said that, I don't know what you're talking
No,
about.
that's exactly what she said.
No, it's not. I've never said that the Parks Committee only worries about maintenance. So you may have taken what I said out of context, but I've never said the Parks Committee only worries about maintenance.
Okay.
Well, based on the 2 tours of the parks I did in the last week and a half, I don't know what the Parks Committee's been doing, but maintenance has not been high on the schedule.
Well, the Parks Committee does not do the actual maintenance at any of our parks.
I realize that's on carrying the weed eater, the lawnmower, but I'm talking about going out there and actually looking at the dog park and the Lago Forest Park, because there's some outstanding issues. The condition,
What?
the grass, the dead bushes, the broken gates, homeowner fence issues, which can fall on, Lake Park, but there needs to be a conversation out there. Front flower bed at Lago Forest, which was discussed in the last meeting, and I know the plan's limiting, but, I was frankly appalled by the condition of the parks when I went the last 2 times. I went with, Donald the first time just to get the lay of the land, just to understand what all the mud does, what all the mud maintains. He can tell you, not pleased with the condition. I went with a meeting with Sean, a couple days ago, and he addressed some of my concerns. And he also took action this past week to rectify some of those issues. But right now, like I said, I don't know how often you guys are actually getting up there and putting eyes on this stuff, but yeah, as the new guy coming on, the condition of the parks, I was not impressed. It's up to the board if y'all want to make a change or if y'all want to continue status quo.
Change. Okay.
I mean, to make a change, or someone would have to,
Nominate.
well,
Nominate.
someone would also have to step down, I guess, or would you nominate?
You would just nominate someone to replace someone on the committee is basically the way it would work, or nominate 2 people to be the committee.
I mean,
I'll volunteer to do it, but if Jenny and Joe still want to stay on there, that's, I'm the new guy, they're on there, but like I said, the 2 tours I had the past week, the amount of money spent on these parks and the amount of money on the contract per year, yeah, I was not impressed. That's entirely up to y'all if y'all want to make a change, if y'all want to continue the same.
Exactly what is what you're looking at that is.
The grass was atrocious. I'm not talking about where the animals do their, obviously do their business in the center. I'm just talking about walking up on the sidewalk.
I was up there
2, 3 different
every
types
day
of grass
this week,
growing.
and it's looked fine. Everybody is amazed.
Well, actually, the grass doesn't look fine, and I've had a conversation with Donald recently about that, and he was actually going to address it at this meeting.
Yeah, Donald and I discussed as well, and Sean and I again on Friday. Sean took measures over the past week to change the fertilizer that's being used, and realizes that there were weeds growing up in the astroturf Monday when we went. There was at least 2 to 3 different types of grass growing, and typically the grass that was already there, the Bermuda or whatnot, it's pretty good about overpowering everything else. It kind of surprised me that it was not, that it was just lackluster as it did. And when you go outside the dog park and get into the ditches, the grass looks better than it does when you're walking in from the parking lot, up the sidewalks to the covered area of the dog park. For the amount of money of that contract, it just about looked like a golf course, at least the part when you're walking in from the parking lot. The rest of it, like I said, the dogs are active in, and all that is understandable. But then you've got 2, 3, 4 dead bushes, and Sean agreed those were going to get addressed. And they trimmed up the Monday when Donald and I went. The bushes were overgrown on the front, the crepe myrtles drove around. By the time he came back on Friday, Sean had addressed those issues. So he's making an effort. But what I toured on Monday was not impressive. And the residents I spoke with were kind of, yeah, they were like, yeah, well, for this part to be as new as it is and as fancy as it is, you think the landscape would be a little more stuff. Maybe y'all are having different conversations with them. So it's entirely up to y'all, going to change, or going to continue the same. I'm no botanist, I'm no gardener, I'm no landscape expert, but there were some issues. And for the rainy season that we've had, we're not in drought. And there's also irrigation out there, rational. The grass log before looks fantastic. Honestly, that was really good. The bushes look good. They're overgrown, blocking out the light in the back of the park, which Sean's going to deal with as well. So, we had a conversation about that on Friday.
If you're interested, I'll make a motion to nominate James Stubblefield to replace Joe Smith on the Parks Committee. Did James second himself? Or? Okay.
I'll second.
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
So is, sorry, can I get a roll call vote, just to make sure I have it right in there?
Nay.
Aye.
Joe, how do you vote?
Nay.
Aye.
Alright. Okay. Anything else for the Parks Committee? Alright, security, you currently have Ken Pendleton and Troy.
Any motions? Anybody change?
Make the motion to leave that as is.
One second. All in favor? Aye. STP.
That one needs one person per contract. There's one person that serves as a committee. If there's anything, sort of major discussions that need to be had for that contract, that committee member has those discussions with their committee member.
Sewer treatment plant.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay. Anybody nominate Joe Smith? Is there a second?
No, it's just a good question.
Okay.
Is that all they do? Is, okay, that committee?
Essentially, they serve as the conduit between this board and that committee. You all give them the power that they need to have as far as the decision making, but since the district operates the facility, usually that the committee member is going to already know what the feelings of this board are as far as how they approach the discussions with United. But this is very rarely is there a lot of communication. What do you think?
I just curious exactly what it is. Okay, I'll second that.
Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Garbage. We have a vacancy. Crystal is on that. Do you want to stay on that? Okay. Anybody want to be on the garbage with Crystal?
Joe, are you interested in that? I'll nominate Joe Smith to be on the garbage committee.
All those in favor?
Um,
Aye. Storm Water, Crystal and Troy King. You want to stay? You want to stay? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to move stormwater committee as it is.
I second it. All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Okay.
Now, I do make a motion to add a website committee
For the purpose.
for the purpose of reviewing our website and I guess basically making suggestions for edits to enhance it, be more, I think the right word, but just public friendly, give more information. Because we seem to catch mistakes in meetings and stuff like that. And have to send emails and ask them to correct it, this and that, where if we have a committee, we could just figure out how to meet.
There have, just so you know, there have been corrections made outside of the meeting. It doesn't require a commission meeting. Somebody could have just, any of you could have called them at any point in time and told them to make the correction. It just happened to come up at the meeting. Yeah. I just want to make sure you understand that you all have the ability to do that. Usually you use us in the conduit, but you don't have to. But, you can always make those corrections, especially if it's just a correction. One thing if it's going through and completely full scale changing the tone and tenor of everything, but if it's just a correction, if we made a mistake, then you all have the ability to do that anyway, even without a committee. With that said, if you will want to go ahead and continue with that, you have a nominee.
You want to nominate yourself?
Sure you can.
Oh, okay. I would like to nominate me and Kim.
And a second.
I'll second.
Vote. All in favor?
Aye. And then, I guess lastly, with all this stuff going on between the wells and the wastewater treatment plant and stuff coming up, would it make sense to have a committee for that?
As in like an operations committee or
Yeah.
like a
Yeah, yes.
to do what?
To dive deeper into their recommendations outside of meetings, and be able to understand better and help relay that information back to the board as to what's actually going on out in the field.
Okay. And, okay. I just wanted to make sure for the record, like it was clear what you were, the goal of the committee would be.
For that one, I would nominate me and James Stubblefield.
I'm sorry, what are you proposing to call it?
I kind of like your idea, operations committee.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Abstain.
And Troy, I must say, I do have some concerns about that, primarily because it's my understanding that the tour that James took with, the operator of the wastewater treatment plant, that Keisha Stubblefield was also present during that tour.
Who are you talking about?
Okay,
I have not toured the wastewater facility yet.
okay, well, maybe I got inaccurate information. I apologize. Okay.
Okay, we're on, consider proposal for general counsel services and take any necessary actions on same.
Yes, if you guys don't mind, I'll get this out forward.
Well, well, before we review anything, I don't recall that the board asked for any proposals about anything, especially legal counsel, so where did this come from?
I was invited by board members to come to present.
What board member?
I was one.
Oh, a board member?
I was one. I was two.
Okay, well, since I've served on this board, we've never asked for bids. No individual board members have ever asked for bids for consulting services for any of our consultants without there being a discussion with the full board and a vote.
Correct me if I'm speaking out of turn, but I think this is the discussion for you
Yeah,
guys.
this is the discussion, and where is it forbidden or prohibited for a board member to talk to a contractor?
No, it's not prohibited for you to talk to him, but to actually request bids for us to be considering when we already have.
I didn't request a bid. All we had was a conversation on
What's
services
this?
they provide. We did not discuss dollar amounts.
It's information about our particular firm. Happy to go over it with you guys. Appreciate you inviting me here today to discuss.
If it's written down somewhere, because I looked for it, couldn't find it, but I'm no legal expert. And a bit of law enforcement background, I'm pretty good about not stepping over the rules. I couldn't find anything on, say, the Texas website, TCQ website, or anything else that says a board member cannot talk to a contractor.
Again, I did not say that you could not talk to a contractor. That is not what I said.
You said soliciting bids, and that requires talking to a contractor.
Well,
So
it doesn't matter about you talking to them. It's you bringing a bid to the board when the board as a body has traditionally voted for when we receive bids for anything, not just one or two board members doing that on their own.
okay, that being said, does that mean we can't have this conversation?
Well, I mean, I certainly think you can have the conversation, but I do highly recommend that if you are going to take action today, that you do it in accordance with section 49.057 of the Texas Water Code. So, but before you do as well, I would like to try and have an understanding of why, if you have a reason why.
Several years of me attending these meetings as a taxpayer and resident of Michael. I've been on the other end of the table with Oldfield and a couple others over the years, not had a positive experience on the other end of you guys. So I got elected to this board to make changes, and as far as I'm concerned, from my perspective, everything's on the table, whether it be lawyer services, tax people, bookkeepers, the landscaper. That's my purpose for being here. That's every conversation I had with every person that probably voted for me when I was doing my campaign and walking around the neighborhood and shaking hands at the HOA park and whatnot. Because a lot of the residents were not happy with the same old out of this mud board for decades.
Well, I haven't been around for decades, but
Well, I have been around because of going into the parks, and I have had nobody but good speak of the parks, and so proud to even have them. We never had a park ever that was like this park that we have, the dog park. That was just something that was phenomenal, and is still phenomenal. People come from all over the country not out of state, everywhere. And our attorneys have never done anything to us to get us in trouble with anything. So I can't understand why all of a sudden we have this. And you don't even know. I mean, you come, sometimes you didn't come. But we've been here, and we've been here for y'all.
I've been coming for several years. I missed about a year, this past year, but,
Well, our attorneys have kept us from from everything, from every harm.
I'm glad you've had a good experience with this lawyer. I personally cannot say that I have.
So let me ask a quick question.
I'm only one vote, so.
Sure.
Try to.
And I'm sorry that you feel that way. And I'm sorry that apparently I've made you feel that way. But I think historically I've always just been pretty frank about whatever the situation may be. There may have been some repetitive questions that require the same answers that have happened over the years as well. And I don't know if perhaps it's maybe the information that I was conveying might have been something that people didn't want to hear. I don't know.
There's a whole lot of double speak that's been engaged for years.
I mean,
We just had some in San Antonio 2 weeks ago, so.
What was that?
I'm sorry, what did I do?
That one was the lawyer's appreciation party. Wife and I got stopped heading across the front of the Alamo. We got there early. It was hot. We were heading to go get some shots, ran into Regina. Oh, hey, you guys are here early, and why don't you come on in? And well, it's not 7 o'clock yet. Oh, come on. Well, you know what? We're going to go hit a few shots before we come in. So we went and hit a few shots. All we got to do, went back over there. We were about 6:45 or 6:40. Get there, the first ranger lets us in, paralegal, whoever was at front lets us in, and then we get the second gate, we're drinking, we're having a meeting, whatever, and they're like, whoa, don't come in yet. And it's like, that's not what you just said, but okay, well, you can stand there at that gate until 7 o'clock. I said, you know what, we're gonna go right back out and wait for everybody else. And that's what the wife and I did, and we went outside and waited, but again, there's another little opportunity for double speak.
I'm sorry that's what you heard, but that's not what I said. What I said was, whenever I ran into you, which I can't believe that this is even a topic for this, but what I said was, oh, whenever it's time for the party, this is the direction that you'll go, because you always said you had gone over to look and see what way to enter. And I said, well, I'll see you there later. That's what I said.
Okay.
And
That is not what was said.
I didn't say I'll see you there at 6:30, which is actually what time you arrived, and we were still setting up. And I said, oh, if you can wait a little bit, it's good. The party starts at 7. That's not my rule.
That is not the conversation we had of the first two conversations.
Okay.
But you have your rendition of it, and I have mine.
Okay.
Unfortunately, my career in law enforcement requires me to keep a pretty accurate memory of these things, so I'm going to rely on my own memory of that encounter. That's not the only instance of double speak. I've been to these meetings for years. I've sat down there as a resident. The parks meeting a couple of months ago, something went on during that meeting, not just with you, with the architect for the parks. She was talking about no parking at Wintergreen is why the mud's never done anything. There's no parking. But yet Lago Forest has no parking, and they didn't have a problem putting a beautiful park there. So there's just years and years of double speak. I can cite example after example after example, but I'm not going to keep us here for 5 o'clock.
Okay.
So.
Well, I do want to say, James, that I've expressed this to Troy and I'll express it to you. I know that you guys have repeatedly tried to push the decisions of this board to be in favor of Atascocita Forest HOA. This is not the Atascocita Forest HOA board. We do not keep the Atascocita Forest HOA in mind solely when we are making decisions. We took an oath, the same oath that Joe just recently took this morning, to keep the residents of this entire district in mind when we are making decisions. But there seems to be this agenda to sway things in favor of the Atascocita Forest HOA.
Well, that's your opinion. The facts are the last parks bond slanted heavily towards Clayton's Park, and this is fact. It can be pulled up where the trails were placed, access to the dog park, the lack of sidewalks that got installed for Atascocita Forest. So the lack of representation for Atascocita Forest is probably why I'm on this board, because that's who I mostly talk to, the votes that I got.
I live in Atascocita Forest, and I know a lot of people in Atascocita Forest, and I talk to them all the time.
And Mr. Soto, on speakerphone a couple of years ago, like a board member, is another reason why I'm on this board. Oh, don't even, Mr. Oldfield and I sat there and y'all practically shamed us out of the room because Soto sat here and just on speakerphone the entire meeting. Oldfield couldn't even get his questions answered. I sat there next to him and finally got so ridiculous. I told Oldfield, your name's not Soto, you're not gonna get acknowledged. So I might
Oh,
as well
Jesus
go.
Christ. Well,
This is-
there is a section on our agenda for every single HOA to have comments and to make any suggestions or bring anything that they want to the board, just like any regular resident. And here in Atascocita Forest, HOA has had the same accommodations and opportunity as any of the other 3 HOAs.
I think we got a little off topic.
Well, I do need to know if this is a foregone conclusion, if the majority of you are planning on getting rid of our services as much as I have. Really feel like our firm has done a great job for this district. If the situation is that 3 of you are going to vote to terminate our services, then I would like to know that now, before he gets his presentation. Yes, that's what's gonna happen.
What is the
That decision's already been made.
4905 code that you were talking about?
Well, it specifically states that in selecting attorneys, engineers, auditors, financial advisors, or other professional consultants, the district shall follow the procedures provided in subchapter A of chapter 2254 of the government code.
And I do want to also say that I don't see how a decision has been made to terminate the contract of our legal counsel outside of a board meeting. That is a walking forum. Well, according to the president, it has been. She just said yes to the attorney.
No, a conversation was had about talking to someone, but y'all are jumping to the end. Go, if you want to jump to the end.
Well, she asked the question and the president responded.
Well, I know how the other 2 are gonna vote, and I know how I'm going to vote,
How did you know that?
because Regina called me.
I called you to ask if you had any concerns, and I thought we addressed those concerns, but apparently not to your satisfaction. So a governmental entity may not select a provider of professional services or a group or association of providers or award a contract for the services on the basis of competitive bids submitted for the contractor for the services, but shall make the selection and award in a 2-phase process on the basis of demonstrated competence and qualifications to perform the services and for a fair and reasonable price. And then it goes through the entire procurement section about what should be followed. Now, historically, and he may provide you with other advice, but historically that happens through an RFP process. You all determine kind of what sort of qualifications you deem applicable to that particular situation and what you hold to be, what would be determined to be the most qualified candidate. And then later, the pricing is a factor. There are prices in here. There are hourly rates in here. So I don't know how that's not a pricing thing, and also putting the cart before the horse. So, you know, I leave that to you on how you want to handle. We don't even need to worry about your presentation. As far as, you know, my actions, I've definitely heard enough. I'm very sorry to hear it. I've given a lot to this district over a good number of years. I think I've gone above and beyond, and I think my staff has gone above and beyond. And I have been nothing but honest, despite what you may think, and I think people tend to look for things that maybe aren't there. I don't know why, I don't understand it, but I'm gonna go ahead and resign to be effective whenever you have your meeting to redesignate your meeting places, because you will have to do that in order to no longer use this space and to determine where you want to have your regular meetings. I'll go ahead and continue out this meeting and take notes and just let you know where you are on different things. But I will go ahead and resign.
And I am tendering my resignation immediately.
And I am tendering mine.
Okay.
That's 2 years ago now.
Not really sure what to do. I'll just move forward. You guys want me to go through this or?
No,
Just get with your legal counsel discussing next steps, getting her ready.
please.
Security report,
Me? Security.
security.
Okay, for the last month, contract stats for Constable's office. 0 burglary habitation, 4 stolen vehicles, 2 assaults, 10 family disturbance reports, 4 of which resulted in criminal charges, 23 alarms responded to, 2 runaways, 14 BMVs, 6 other thefts, 1 sexual assault that was referred to detectives for investigation, no juvenile disturbances, 13 suspicious vehicles responded to, 4 telephone harassment reports, 1 theft from habitation, no robberies, 4 criminal mischiefs, 32 other disturbances, 5 suspicious persons, and 870 other calls. Obviously, the BMVs are extremely high. More than half of those were taken on one night at the apartment complexes. Um, so I'm not saying that makes that any better, but that was one little spree isolated to the apartments. I can't tell you for sure that the people, the handful of guys that did that were caught, but I can tell you from flock cameras in that area that match up with flock cameras for a group of kids that were breaking into cars at the Lifetime Fitness later in the night. I'm pretty confident that those people were. That's all I've got for you, unless y'all have questions about that or the flock report.
Now, I heard that y'all were able to solve a couple of different incidents this month with block cameras.
Yeah, you see under the property recovered, that $19,000 is a stolen vehicle report that was recovered about 15 minutes after it was reported stolen. Just on the flock.
Okay. Just So I make a motion to accept the security report, and then I also make the motion to accept the quote from Flock to replace the damaged camera for $1,300. No, we gotta, oh,
Yeah, and so I still haven't been able to get that camera into the hands of the gentleman that can tell y'all whether or not they can reuse it or not. And that's, I mean, that it's just a matter of coordinating one of my deputies with the sheriff's office deputy that actually collected the camera and coordinating those two with the supervisor at evidence lockdown downtown. So they're telling me again, it's gonna be this week. I'm not gonna stand in front of y'all and guarantee that I'll have that because that's not been the way this has gone so far. But my understanding is if they can reuse it, then that'll significantly cut down on that. But I don't work with Flock, so I can't tell you.
So they're gonna take that in consideration on this?
Yeah, I'm supposed to get with a Flock service tech and give him the camera, and then they should be able to tell y'all if they can reuse that camera. I believe, and I'm going by the email chain that y'all were all on, I think that quote was for just replacing the camera outright.
Two. One was for $1,300 to replace the camera outright. The other was for $500 to be able to utilize the same camera.
I think that was included as well. Should be right before the shot, supposedly, or right after.
the worst case scenario is it's $1,500.
But we can go back and bill their insurance and get recouped.
If we have it.
You can certainly try if you have the information for the insurance information for that person.
Do you have that information?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think, Troy, did
Yeah.
we go over that?
Okay, I thought we had that. Okay,
So you would need to provide that to your attorney whenever you decide you want to do that.
Okay. Second? We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So,
Okay, garbage and recycle.
Sorry, you also have the interlocal agreement for law enforcement services on here. Okay, yeah, so, they sent their typical request, make sure that the, terms have stayed the same as far as the number of officers that you want. You currently have 8. If you would like to keep it that same way, then you would just need to make a motion to go ahead and preliminarily approve the interlocal agreement, subject to receipt of same. The reason why you typically do this is because of the timing of when it comes in and when they actually need it signed. Does not usually coincide with your meetings, and so that's why it happens this way. Okay. But if you want changes, then you need to know what those changes are, so we can let them know.
I don't believe so.
So I make a motion to approve the interlocal agreement for law enforcement services for 25, 26
I'll second.
as is.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we already did the, okay. 7, garbage and recycle report, including review and accept consumer price index increase pursuant to amended and restated agreement for recycle and solid waste collection and disposal services with Mid Trash.
Good afternoon, all. I'll start with the recycling report. Council one. For the month of May, we collected 23.7 tons of recycled material from the district. That makes our years to date 103 tons. And data by year, as the third report, since 2018 when we started collecting for the district, we have collected a total of 2,007 tons of recycling. And on that one, if you have any questions on it, I can address.
Okay, so going back to the earlier conversation.
Yeah, sure.
So you said you would provide the 8-yard dumpster upgrade to the 8-yard free of charge.
Yes, sir, that's complimentary.
And then the second one was when I was reviewing the invoices. So down at the wastewater treatment plant, Andrea. Mm-hmm. So down at the wastewater treatment plant, there's a 8-yard dumpster that auger dumps trash into. Well, apparently we're paying a little over $1,000 a month for that dumpster. And that's trash that they could provide the same dumpster, same service for the $202.44 a month.
That's per week. That's per.
A month or per week?
That should be per week, right? And that would be per pull. So if you ended up getting more than 1 or 2 pulls per week, that's $202.44.
Okay.
Per week, right? If you add on extra days, then it would go up a little bit.
I think it's just weekly.
As far as how it's collected, I'd have to double check that because you guys didn't ask me to get that information for you. So
well, I just
it.
looking at the invoices, I just noticed that we were paying a whole other trash service.
Right. Well, so that has to go to a different landfill because if it's coming off the auger, then it's
okay.
Human waste, so it can't go into a regular landfill. So it goes to a different type of landfill.
Maybe get back. Well, maybe get back with your master guy.
Sure.
And next month we can have a.
I'll have it
better
full ready for you.
Okay.
Let's see. Then the next topic was the automatic adjustment, the CPI adjustment. Component of the contract we have with the district is for an automatic yearly price adjustment based on the most recently published CPI for garbage and trash series. CPI data indicates an increase of 6.1%. However, the current contract with Trail Lakes is currently limited to a 3% increase. So the current rate of $21.36 for curbside service with recycling will change to $22 per month per resident. And the new rates will take effect in a billing cycle of August 2025 and continue through July of 2026. have any questions, I'll be happy to address those.
Any questions? You know, make a motion to accept the garbage report. I guess we don't have to make it, because that's an automatic, but to accept the automatic increase, CPI increase.
That is correct, but, yeah, y'all go ahead and finish that now. Say what you say. What?
I made a motion.
Oh, okay. And all of in favor?
So, so you all have looked at what the increase is, there in the report, the 3% increase. Because of the timing of whenever it would be effective, I'm proposing that you put, amending your rate order on your next agenda to look at potentially amending your sewer rate, to account for that change. So just letting you know, that would be on your next agenda based upon what has historically occurred. What are those thoughts?
Well, no further questions. Thank you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Tax assessor collector's report.
All right, thank you very much. I have passed out the May report to everybody. Front page of the report today, the 2024 taxes are currently collected at 98.2% for $4,805,420, and your receivables at the end of May stand at $143,896.44. Turning over to page 2, we began the month of May with $187,474 in your tax account, and then had additional receipts of $28,566. Down at the bottom of the page, you'll see that your disbursements for May came to $74,325, and that brings your cash balance to end the month at $141,715.47. The following page, we have the wire transfers for the month of June, as well as the checks that we presented today for your review and approval. There were 8 of those, and total disbursements of $58,734, leaving you just over $82,000 in the tax account. Just a couple to note, check number 1354, that refund adjustment was rather large, so that is an over 65 and a veteran exemption. The one down below that, 1355, that is a veteran exemption. And then check number 1357, so the gentleman who owned this property passed away, and his son actually paid the taxes, but they were paid twice. So I originally issued the check to the father, and then, so I voided that one out, and I'm reissuing it to his son. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear to everybody. Page 4, collection percentage, again, 98.233% collected, which is up just a little bit over this time last year. And your prior year is in excellent shape, above 99.6%. Page 5, the 2024 taxable value, $815,312,251. Page 6, we have your historical tax rate components. And then on page 7, we have notes regarding the refund adjustment checks, that voided check that I reissued, as well as there was an online duplicate payment that the taxpayer has to initiate the reversal on that one. Page 8, we have your last 3 years of tax exemption information, as well as your tax assessor bond and adjustments to the original certified roll. Page 9, these are your contract payments. As you'll note, the account numbers are marked out, but if you go down to where in the middle column there it says none, that is a brand new contract for the month. So everybody's in current status. And then that's all I have on the regular report. The strategic partnership agreement chart went out as well. The only thing that I noticed was this month it was a little bit lower than it has been typically, but I have noticed that across all of our districts that have a strategic partnership agreement. So it's just a little bit low. I'll just continue to watch that. And then if you'd like, I can go on to the pre-grant report, or I can stop there.
I'm good.
Keep on rolling? Okay.
Oh, do we need to?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so the Purdue Brandon report, up at the top, you'll see that there were some suits, updates to the suits that were filed. The first one, there is no service at this address, and so there's nothing more to do there. And then the second account, a suit was also filed on that one. Down below that, you have your deferrals. There are currently 11. However, number 11 has been paid in full. Down below that, under other accounts, the first account, this homeowner has an over 65 exemption but has not filed for a deferral. So the information has been sent and it has not been submitted to the appraisal district yet. Number 2, that account also has no service at the address. And the third account, business is closed for the taxpayer, and they were advised to notify the appraisal district of that information. And then turning over to the back side, number 4, this was a 4-month payment plan. They did not make their final payment. As of Friday, they still owed that last payment. And then number 5, that account is paid in full. Quite a few updates this month. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions or comments. Oh, I did have one more thing. I'm sorry. I will be on vacation next month, and so I was going to, at the conference, Michelle was with me. That's who I was going to have come to the meeting, if you guys are okay with that. Okay, all right, that's all. I'm done.
Do I have a motion to accept the report?
Yes.
Second,
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Bookkeeper's report including review investments and approved payment of bills and issuance of checks.
Everybody should have a copy of the report in front of you. That's where I had extra time.
Yeah, we could just gotta get to it. You can go ahead and start.
Okay, so the first page is a summary of all of your accounts. You can see the breakdown of your balances at the top. And I'll walk through those accounts with you now. Right after your summary sheet, you'll see all of your budgets and spreadsheets. So your accounts begin on page 7 for your reference. You got a tax transfer of $20,000 and then interest of $9,829.93 brings your current debt service funds to $2,739,281.81. The next account will be page 8, your capital projects account. You're showing disbursements for approval today of $2,093.76. That's 2 checks for legal and engineering. And then you'll see check on page 8. Check number 1037 was written and approved at your last meeting. This was pay estimate number 4 and final for the RAS pump of $70,235.08. Your funds remaining here at $2,436,127.76. And then the breakdown of those funds begins on page 9. Page 10 begins your collections and operating activity. You had May revenues of $350,865.73. Your City of Houston spa payment for March was $16,262.60. For approval today, the checks total out over at the bottom of page, midway down page 11. 30 checks for approval at $241,694.97. The only check outside of the ordinary here, you'll see check number 2170. This is your final audit billing from 2024. And then check number 2186 is a check over to the Comptroller of Public Accounts. This is the time of year we turn over all of your stale dated deposit refunds over to the state. We eschew them. I'll get the report probably sometime this week. Our firm turns it over to the Comptroller by June 30th. I just haven't gotten the number yet for what that'll be. So that's why that check is listed there. Your deposit refunds this month begin on page 13. There are 16 checks for your approval at $1,541.79. And then after your investment report on page 15, you'll see on page 16, the STP begins. You had deposits from Trail of the Lakes and 290 of $97,322.86. And then there were 8 checks for approval today at $96,559.35. And then the billing is attached there as well. I just got your signature cards completed. I'll have your first draft proposed budget at your next meeting. We begin looking at that in your next month generally. Just a first draft review for everyone to provide info on. That is all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
I just got a clarifying question. Page 9.
Yes.
line number 6. Says approved district share 390, dispersed 429,456. I'm assuming that means we went over budget 39,456, right? But then at the last line item, it says total construction of 750. So that means we shared that with the other.
Correct, and if you'll look at the way that this comparison is set up, if you look down, the very first line, underneath where it says total bond requirements, you'll see that 290, paid their last billing of 222,997, and I need to do a final billing for them, now that we paid that final pay estimate at the last meeting.
Okay. Okay, I just want to make sure I was reading that correctly. All right, thank you.
Kim, just a quick question for you, just so I can your check correctly. I didn't see on your fee request or any AWBD. I'm assuming you are requesting those. You had all of your expenses listed out, which I saw, but
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Yes.
Oh, you're good. That's all I have for you.
There should be 3, right? Not 4?
It's for summer conference.
Oh, okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the bookkeeper's report. I'll second.
Those in favor?
Nay.
Aye. Operations report?
Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you guys are having a good Monday. You guys should all have your reports in front of you. Nice little pretty picture for you. You guys are ready. Great notes. All right, you got it? Okay. So your connection count stayed steady at 2919. The combined water plants pumped 26.272 million gallons of water for the month of May, which brings your available capacity to 40% from all sources. Right now, you are showing 95% accountability with a 4-month average of 95.34. So you're looking really good on your accountability. For your customer billing, the district billed 25.22 million gallons of water. The average usage was 6.9, so almost 7,000 gallons of water, not abnormal for this time of year. Actually, it's kind of low, but we've been getting a lot of rain, so.
Okay, what was it last month? 6.8?
I think so, right about the same.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we didn't go up much.
No, ma'am. Your total age receivable stand at 41,130. Well, I put too many numbers in there. So it's sorry. I'm gonna flip to that page.
411.
411,301.74. Apologies for that.
Okay. Just missed a comma.
I did. And your deposits stand at $393,170. We did collect $6,256.96 in penalties. For the top 100 accounts, there were 8 letters mailed for people over 50,000 gallons of usage. For your delinquent activity, that is the only thing I need approval for today. You have 208 delinquent letters that were mailed out on the 19th of June for non-payment. We have 205 customers set to have door tags set as of the 3rd, is when we'll hang them, and then set to disconnect on the 8th if approved. Last month, we terminated 8 accounts and 5 were reconnected. Your smart meter, you're unfortunately down 1 person. I don't, could have been someone that moved out on the ion water. You had 283 leaks. 183 of them were below 10 gallons an hour. 13 of those accounts had ion water. As far as your repairs and maintenance, we repaired an eye wash station at the water plant. We shortened the operation probe on the high pressure tank at the water plant. We repaired and reinstalled the well motor, which I know is also an agenda item for well 3. That has been done and completed, so it's back up. I believe I reported on that last month, but it's all done. We repaired a tap line leak and completed the yard work on Cyril Drive. We also completed another tap repair at 4126 Great Forest and did the yard work. We relocated a blow-off valve that was underneath the driveway. We completed your monthly flushing, and we repaired a hydrant at 16430 Sylvandale Drive. For your wastewater treatment plant, you are 64.4% capacity with no excursions and no violations. We pulled the scum pump number 1 for repair. We backed out and cleaned the walls and the on-site lift stations in the scum pit. We cleaned the debris out of the CL2 basin, aeration basins, and clarifiers. We installed the grading and added the remaining sections of the catwalk. We installed the auger, and we also installed a new section of pipe and a check valve on the non-potable pumps. I believe I also reported on the auger last month, but the work order came in this month. So everything's up and running perfectly with that. I have not heard anything about it. So, and that is all I have for you guys, unless you guys have any questions for me.
What's a curb stop?
A curb stop? So there, you can have a cork stop or a curb stop. They're both little things at the meter that you can turn to turn off the water. But it's on your side. So if you see something where we replace do that so often to kind of keep them, so they don't freeze up. Like if you have a house that hasn't been ever turned off, they can get stuck, and then once you go to turn it, it can break. So we like to try to alleviate that for you.
Yeah, I saw it on the window.
Yeah.
I'm used to the curb stop being in the parking lot.
Yeah, no, it's a little valve in front of the meter that they turn. There's also, you might also see a cork stop. So for years I was like, that's the same thing, and then my field guys were like, no, it's two separate things. I'm like, I think you're spelling it wrong.
All right. I'll make a motion to accept the operations report, including the termination with any accounts necessary and board meeting. I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you so much.
Engineers report.
Everyone should have a copy of my report. The first item to report on is the Community Association temporary buildings. I think Keisha and I are on the same page. I have worked with giving her engineer some guidance through the Harris County system, some links to some maps that would help them to be able to get the stuff they need together to get their plans approved. And
Yep.
so I don't know if you want to report any more on that.
Me and you are good. My engineer or architect is working with the Harris County Flood Control District and trying to get those plans hammered out, but that's between those two right now. Flood control basically said that they want to deal directly with the person who is signing and sealing the plan.
The next item is McDonald's. I haven't heard anything further from them, just from their initial discussion. And then last month we talked about Humboldt ISD, and they had submitted back in 2021 some plans for a fire hydrant because they were adding their gym. Then they went MIA, and then they showed up again, but they turned in the plans from 2021.
Is this at Whispering Pines, that new gym there?
This is at Humboldt Middle School.
Oh, the middle school.
Yeah. I don't know if it was a gym or just a building extension, but they needed to bring a fire hydrant across Will Clayton Parkway, up just for that building.
Oh, okay.
And so they had contacted us back in 2021. We had reviewed the plans and we had provided comment, and then they kind of went MIA and never came back. And now they submitted the same 2021 plans. Well, plans are only good for 1 year, even if they were approved. So now I think they've had a turnover in engineers, and I sent it back to the owner and said, these plans are the same plans you submitted. Here's the comment letter. Please come back, because we're going to need to prepare an easement. There was all this stuff that we had to do. So, okay, so with that, next item is our water well. So this is John Nelson, and he is with Advanced Groundwater Services Solutions, and he is a hydrogeologist. So he is like an expert in the business of water wells and what lies underground. And so we remember we've been through all of our iterations, and last month we talked about the fact that we had pulled back on the gallons per minute that we were pumping, and we did see some improvement in the radioactive nuclei. We did see a decrease. And so our answer is, well, then we go back to John and we think, what can we do next? And so I'll kind of let him give you a little bit of background on all the stuff I've been speaking about. He's the expert, so I'll and then I put his 3 proposals attached to my report, and he'll run through those. So if you want to introduce yourself, please.
John Nelson, hydrogeologist, been working in Houston since 1989. If you've been around a while, you may have heard of the fire firm I work for mostly, OBG Geico Associates. We've worked with ground gate engineers and marine engineers, and now for my whole career or, the reason. Okay, so, Capella Lakes nearby, worked some on those, your wells specifically, during some of the construction phases prior as a consultant. Also nearby, there's County Web Field 106, 290 Eagle Springs, and some of the other older districts around it. A big subsurface issue in the area is the Humble Dome. It's a relatively shallow salt dome just to your west and north a little, Humble. And that's what drove a lot of communities, including Humble, on the oil and gas activity around these shallow domes. So they are resources for that reason. They're also a hazard to groundwater supplies. Near not just your own water supply, but including those that are mainly to your west and north, toward you're some distance from the dome, but relatively close, not far enough to see its adverse effects. Many of the wells, particularly the older wells in the muds around you, and including some of yours, when those wells were drilled, the consultant, even the experts, did not have the geophysical logs to see there's some natural radioactivity around these domes, which is occurring naturally. But the logs were not running that time frame for them to see. Okay, so they screened through some of those depth intervals and rocky, with no knowledge. So subsequently, TCQ and the federal government started regulating radionuclides, arsenic, and many others, and expanded what was tested and required for compliance. So once that occurred, many districts realized, this was around 2000, or prior, realized we have a problem here and we address it. So your well 4 is the one that's been the primary problem. We're working with DGE, try to see if there could be a way to downhole, remedy, improve it, modify the well so it reduce the radionuclide. And so that's been occurring over the last year and a half. And they involved Kelly, contractor doing the work, CNC Water Services, and your operator, C Environmental, John. I'm John too. I love John. Okay, so a lot of testing with a package, basically an apparatus to try to seal off part of the well that's being pumped. Try to see if we sealed off effectively the upper part of the well, if the radionuclide water quality would improve. So that's been occurring several different instances, discussions, and several different rounds of testing. It has improved it a little bit, but probably not adequate. That's the bottom line. In other words, if you put a pump back in there and pump it, it's probably still going to exceed, maybe slightly, the TCQ regulatory limits for one or two of the ratings. So the question becomes what else might be done at that site, and what kind of site, or off site, or bring another water supply. That is something that's acceptable by TCQ to take well waters or another source and bring them together at the plant before it goes out to the resident to meet regulatory requirements. That's acceptable. Not unusual whether it's for radionuclides or some other elevated constituent. So that's what we've been working with. And so we can hear time and answer questions and present. We don't have a screen, but it would help visually, perhaps, if
What do you want to see the map? You want to see that area?
well, for our report that we did.
I don't have that. Okay. I have it on my computer.
I have it on the jump line.
Okay, you want the report that you sent to me after, which one? I have it.
So one of the.
Yeah,
I guess
you have to
the
answer the questions while she's trying, because it could help visually a little
Right.
bit.
But I saw that one of the bids was about exploring a shallow well on the same area.
Yes.
I guess it's not as simple as you can pack off the current well and make it shallow.
That's what we were hoping to do with this diagnostic testing, to
Right.
see if it would be effective. It does not look like it would be.
Okay.
So the other, we do have a log on site, to see where the sands are and where probably the elevated depth with the radiation, there are sands above it. Potential shallow well could be constructed on site. We all call it solids, unfortunately. Shallow well, and hopefully produce enough sufficient water to blend this well down below everything. That's one of the options.
But I guess there's no guarantee you can do a shower well. Just get it underwater.
It'll be a different water, but likely should be acceptable. I can't guarantee it, but we would do a study to try to put some facts and better estimates and information in front of you.
The original series on the So just to reiterate, we had been trying to pack off and make sure, like, try to cover those, but we're not but they're saying that the water seems to be permeating through up and over is what's happening. So, it's probably best to put it on their computer if you want to share it on the screen. Okay. Yeah. Can we put this into your computer and that way?
Oh, wait, is there something else?
He wants to show his report from.
I'm sorry, I thought you were, sorry.
The whole
Okay.
report.
I didn't know this was, okay.
Oh.
Not the recent report, it's got the original report that it has some relevant information, but also.
So you
I got that I can operate.
Okay, all right.
If you can pull up.
It's really hard also to operate. I gotta go up there. My hand-eye coordination.
And I may have to talk to you which file.
Okay. And then.
You'll probably see Trail Lakes, probably.
Yeah.
And
then which one?
Obviously.
Okay.
Okay. The proposals over here. You see well 4 log AGS note. Let's
This
just
one?
see if that works.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want me to make it smaller?
This is a piece of the log of well 4 on site. Subsurface. The depths are over here, kind of in the middle. It's kind of hard to see. You see a 500 and a 700.
Right here and right here.
500, that's feet below ground. Okay. Kelly, does it show additional depth part of the log? Yeah, okay. So if you go deeper, your well, number 4, start screening right here. This is a sand. See this? That's a sand that screens all the way down to.
That's as low as it goes. Unless it's the next page. That's as low as it goes.
Okay, that's the elevated radiation's right here, this spike. Okay. Actually, clip 4, I'll be honest. It actually starts screening here, right? At 880. So you have some vertical separation from the radiation. There are some clays here. Originally, when the well was put in service, the radionuclides were accepted. They have slowly increased with time. The radiation is inanimate, but it's found a way around. Okay. You have steel. This well starts screening here, but you have steel all the way to land surface. You have cement, and you have some clay. Those are barriers. All of that steel, cement, clay. It's defeated, unfortunately. It's a bad atmosphere, but we've seen that occur with time occasionally. All right. The thought was, can we take out the well starts screening right here. Then we take out and seal off and screen below this the remainder of the well. That's what the testing has been doing. Several different rounds with different thoughts put to it. What if the contractor does this, and do some additional testing. Do we see differences or?
How deep is the actual well?
Huh?
How deep is the actual well? How far does it go down?
I believe, Kelly, if you pull, it screens to about 1,000 or 1,100 feet.
Okay.
Did you want me to pull a new file?
Go to report, yeah, material. You're right there.
This one?
Oh, okay. Our screen at 880 feet. The screen, excuse me, 1254. Okay, so there's a lot of screen. We were trying to see if this uppermost screen, 14-inch screen, pretty big screen, if we blank that off or seal it off here, if the remainder of the well, water quality and its general productivity, again, several different rounds of testing, it still looks like you're not going to meet the compliance requirements if you did that successfully. So that's not being done. So the other options are indeed what we're talking about. If you go back, I mean, I'm happy to talk about the construction at the large well. It's 20-inch casing, which is pretty large, 14-inch production casing. If you're talking oil and gas, they never get that large, right? Much smaller for oil and gas. The wells are large, not necessarily because they make more water because they're large, but you can set the bigger pump in there to pump a lot of water.
Okay.
And you can set them deep if you have to.
So you're suggesting a shallow, what is a shallow?
Shallow well.
How many feet
So
is
if you
that?
go back to what we had before, maybe right here, induction gamma ray law.
Okay.
So this is the entirety of the log. It was actually there. Well,
Keep going.
can you go up to the?
Oh, so sorry.
It was drilled in 2004. I'll say with the contractor, they're still here. And there's a great variety of information, but if we go down slowly, keep going.
Just tell me when to stop.
Yeah, just keep, I'll tell you.
Okay.
A lot of gibberish stuff. Okay. We go on up. I'm sorry. Further D.
Tell me when. I'm just.
100 feet, 200 feet, keep going. 300. There's some shallow sand stuff right there. There's some shallow sands here, probably too shallow for a blending well, let's call it, or a shallow well on site. The shallow well might start screening below 400 feet to about right here. Sand, 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 thick sand. They keep going
Sand's where the
down.
water comes in.
You would not go deeper.
That was about to be my question.
Yeah, sand is where your water comes in, correct?
Yeah,
That's where you get the
the
sand.
screens are where you would blank off. Yeah. The screens are opposite where the sand come in. If you look over here, the dash line, this is a radiation. It does have some variability, but it's pretty low. You don't see a spot.
Okay, yeah.
That's good.
Okay.
You can't guarantee quality, but it likely would be acceptable, would be a little different and better radionuclide, lower radionuclide.
And we're talking about the same well. We've been looking at.
No.
Near it.
The joining well on the site, a joining well. Hopefully your site's large enough,
How far apart does that mean?
50, 75 feet minimum.
Okay.
It's a tight site. We've looked at it. We would want to get with him to be for sure.
And your
It'll be-
operator.
And your operator access, the way that this plant is set up will be a difficult drill, but hopefully we can get in there.
Okay, okay.
The easiest thing is to try to do it on site, obviously, and not have to go off site with collection line, purchasing property or using your own property.
Right.
The question is what kind of volume we would estimate that in this study. Try to be conservative with y'all. No guarantees, but I mean, it looks like it's promising, and we try to work with BGE and your operator on looking if the quality is X for this shallow well, and you blend it with the existing quality, what does it do to your water? You know,
Okay.
how much water does it take to blend?
So we can blend our own water with our own water. Okay.
Yes.
I like that idea.
That is going to be I know that's most cost efficient, everything is gonna be expensive, but at least if we're there, we don't have to do transmission lines all
Right.
around.
Okay.
You have homes all the way around your site.
Yeah.
You would have to put up sound walls,
It's gonna be loud.
24 feet, I mean, they probably
To get it going.
24 feet,
Oh,
and keep your residents informed. It's a loud process.
When you're drilling a well, there is a period of time that you have to drill 24/7 for how long, usually?
There are about 3 operations that they're going to be working 24/7 over a day or 2 continuously, 2 or 3 different times. So you would need to let your residents know in advance.
how
The door
far,
hanger,
how far out from the plant?
So people that live right behind it are really not, I mean,
Oh,
they're
I know.
gonna experience it, but.
Sometimes people, it depends, like, if they don't like your board, or they don't like, you'll get those complaints, at distance, okay?
Right,
Now,
I would notify it.
I would
The
do
whole
district,
section, but
just
really,
like.
like the whole section that wells
Okay.
in, yeah,
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm
at a minimum, for sure.
Okay.
Just to kind of cover your bases.
Okay.
And the ones that are closest by could experience vibrations too,
Okay.
we've experienced that.
So
you get banging, clanging, whether it's during the day or.
It doesn't vibrate stuff off their shelves or walls.
Yeah, I mean, I had people that were like right next to it, it was just a sound thing. And then
Oh,
if someone
okay.
works at night,
Mhm.
right, if they work in the
Oh.
night and they're sleeping in the day, but I mean, when it's 24/7, it's going on
Yeah.
all the way around.
It's
So
an
you have to
interruption of
prepare
normality.
yourself. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I
Our
understand.
normal day-to-day, no, that's changed for
Okay.
a few months.
Okay. Oh, months?
Yes.
Yeah, it takes a little while, but.
Well, I thought he.
For the main construction operations.
Oh,
But
okay.
the 24-hour time period,
Yeah,
those are the ones.
Oh, okay.
Two-
There'll be several of those.
Yeah.
Probably 3 or 4
Oh, okay. That-
over a day or
okay.
2.
Okay.
So there'll be 3 or 4 24-hour, but also we have to do the construction during the day.
Right.
So if you have a person that
You
sleeps
can
during the
put in
day,
the
because they work at night.
specifications, they're only allowed to work during the day,
Okay.
except for the time periods that they have to for safety and construction operations.
Okay.
It'll drive the cost up, but that's what you want to do to try to reduce.
Nah,
You didn't-
they can deal with it. Yeah,
I mean,
we
you
want
can
to get it
notify your
done.
residents without, I mean, you can
Oh,
hold
yeah.
little.
I'll
town
go
halls
door
if
to
you want
door
to.
if you need me to in
Right,
that
you can,
day.
notices just, or things can go out on your bills as reminders, I mean, there's lots of options you have to
Yeah.
keep them informed.
That's one
Like
of
your
our,
website, text alerts.
Okay.
well, that's one of our
Okay.
proposals to evaluate shallow well.
Okay.
The other one is potential, and again, we've talked to Kelly, and you can adopt or approve or consider one or all 3. The other one was, you got Eagle Spring 106, could you bring a collection line and directly to the plant, right, Kelly? And blend their water with your well pour water.
Okay. What's our other one? That's 2.
That's a blending, or if you didn't want to pursue those, or you did, off-site well construction, and bring it back.
And you had kept talking about that 11 acres.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's a viable location based on what the strata might be there, or there's also like circles of influence that he would have to look at that site specific to see if it would even be eligible. But you don't own the 11 acres, so you'd have to talk to that owner to get the 11 acres, right? You know, which the last
Yeah.
little piece, because y'all had mentioned it a couple of times.
Yeah.
So.
Where that guy was gonna build those houses and it was too
And he
expensive.
keeps popping his head back up. How's it going? And I'm like, we can't do anything right now because we don't have the water to do it. And he pops up every few months and asks Leslie and I, how are things? And we're like, not right now. We got to figure this out right now.
Okay.
So right now, his 3 bids are, the first bid is.
Not a bid, but a proposal.
Proposal.
Is this
The
shallow well?
technical is to explore
Mhm.
the on-site shallow well.
Right.
And it said something about the pilot hole, I'm assuming that's like a test. What's a pilot hole?
This is just a desktop study. Yeah.
Okay. And then,
We've got available information to work with for that stuff.
okay. And then the second option was what you just said about
Eagle
reaching
Springs.
time into some other districts.
Right, like 106, you already have an interconnect. Is there a way, we'd have to look at your whole system, but we would have to have a transmission line
Right.
down Low Clayton and then get it to the water plants and then feed it in, and then he would have to go through a study to figure out what is the quality of their water and the quality of our water, and how much of their water and our water does it take to get to dilute our water down. Then we have to go back to 106 and say, can you give us that much water?
Do they use the same kind of,
Disinfection, yes.
yeah, oh, they do, okay, you've already
They're
looked
still,
at that.
they are.
Oh, okay,
I mean,
okay.
because nobody has surface water up here except for 278 gets City of Houston water. That's why they're on. That's why they're on chlorine. So they're on. We have an open. I mean, not open, we have an active interconnect with them because we are on the same disinfection.
Oh, okay.
And then the third proposal is to explore where else we could maybe potentially put a well.
Potentially, you could look at that corner by Walmart where I think McDonald's potentially comes up, but you don't own that. And then potentially you could look at that 11. Those are the only two areas within your district that are available that are raw land that would be available to drill something. You know, that's the only undeveloped lands that we have.
Okay.
So it's just looking at all available options.
Right.
And you're in the middle of cul-de-sac, could we?
I don't know if you want to go that, but.
How big the cul-de-sac is.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say that one you've been talking about.
Well, you have to have it.
You have to have a fence. That's gonna be really appealing for those people.
Yeah, that'd be an eyesore out in the
And
middle.
it's on the
Well,
wrong,
you
it's
have
on
to
the
have-
wrong side of it.
Yeah, so security measures.
I mean, we'd have to cross the gully, and it'd be best if we could stay. But, I mean, those are the things that I wanted John to come talk to you because I've been conveying his information the best that I can.
About this.
Well, the good news for you is that your users are not high demand users. So you have been able, when we studied this, when this all first started happening, you guys used below the TCEQ minimums as far as what your homes use. So you have been able to supply your entire district on one well for this entire time. You've been very fortunate for that.
Yes.
Now, in any amount, in anything we do, we may get a reduced capacity over at Clayton's Park with anything that we do. But then with the study that we've done, we can go to TCEQ and ask for a variance on the minimum amount of water you have to provide your residents, like from 0.6 gallons per minute per connection down to 0.49 or whatever it is to keep you in compliance with your water supply. So it's an iterative process that we have to go through. You're minimally required to provide 0.6 gallons per minute per connection. Your homeowners don't use that. You have mature lots with mature trees. Y'all don't irrigate a lot.
But that's something, I guess, like for that 1 in a billion instance, if every homeowner turned their faucet on.
So a lot of districts or districts that have, like I have some districts that 0.6 is the minimum. Those people are using 0.75 and 0.85. So we actually are having to do studies to reevaluate their water system and then upgrade their water systems because they irrigate so much, or all of the irrigation meters come on at one time, or I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. Because you are so established, that's why you have less usage. So
You definitely want the redundancy.
I mean, we already just saw it. Like, well, 3 went down, and I'm like.
Right, yeah, I mean, luckily we got the rental pump, but if something catastrophic happened and that you would not have water. And you do not want that to happen.
Right. That's like what we're afraid of.
Right, so.
Yeah. So I guess, John is here today to say, do you want to study 1, 2, 3, or all of these? Like, what do you want? Do you want to just start with the shallow well study, or? I'll let him go. I'm just going to check.
Talk about the proposals. I'll try to cover very quickly.
You want me to leave them up there? I just ejected your drive. I had to put it back in. Sorry.
Yeah, is it in their packet?
It's in their packet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're modest studies. I mean, probably compared
to what we've already done.
Yes. It's an hourly time and materials. We've already got a lot of data we would need. Now, joining District 106 Eagle Springs, we don't if we end up doing that one. But in BGE, the engineers?
We are.
I don't have records from my old firm, or I would have those records, because I worked on all the 106 wells as a consultant to Brown and Gay BGE. So anyway. Unfortunately, I don't have it. So we have much of the we have what we need for well 4 and shallow well. but there would be some other data collection and looking with DGE on any of it and your operator with available data or operators for 106 also and 290.
Okay, so the first one,
The first one is the shallow on-site well
well,
evaluation,
okay, and you showed $10,000.
not to, not to exceed.
Yes, I see that, okay.
The other one, they're 10, 10, and 12, I think. I mean, they're all about the same, even though some of the data collection will overlap.
You must have changed. The one that I have was 10 for the shallow well, and then 15 for the offsite.
Sorry, y'all. Cause what, okay, what I was thinking there, it said we could look at one site, 2, or a maximum of 3. So if we do more sites, the budget went up there.
Right.
Right. And then the third one is the water blending with 106, and that's 10,000.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, what would you recommend, John, for in the essence of time? Would you think we should just look at the shallow well first, see what happens there, and then we could go forward?
Yeah, you don't have to prove all of them. I would say the shallow well on site is the most, makes the most sense.
Okay.
And then, does it look feasible? How, this study will be
Okay,
done.
let's talk time.
Yeah.
How long do you think that's gonna take?
More than a month, less than 2.
Let's,
This is your study.
yeah. I like that. I think time is of the essence here because.
So after he studies,
Right.
then there's a whole process. We have to
Okay.
get your well permitted through the Harris-Galveston Subsidence District. We have to design the well, and then we have to construct it, which the bigger wells take a long time to construct. I don't know, smaller wells, are there a little less time to construct than the bigger wells?
A little less, but not a lot. You're looking at, once you probably submit the TCQ, you're looking at a year, year and a half.
Yeah, to get it constructed.
Yeah.
Well, we've already been going.
But yeah, I mean, you're doing fine on your one well,
Yeah.
so you're fine.
Yeah.
Me personally, I think we should do the on-site study and the remote study.
The remote blending with 106 or
No,
the offsite?
the offsite.
Okay,
And hold up on the blending one
okay.
for now anyway. And then that way, he could give us information from both when he gets it. And we don't just do the shallow and then be like, well, what was our other option?
Okay.
But that's my opinion.
Okay, I'm good with that. Anybody else got opinions? Discussion?
No, I don't think blending is a long-term solution from another mud. So it's
Okay.
better to go with,
Rely on yourself.
there you go.
Okay.
So Regina, I had brought these letters from John, but you suggested that he should be a sub to me.
A sub to you, yes.
So he'll work under us as a subcontractor. He has a subcontracting contract with me, so his bill will come through me.
We would also prepare a form 1295.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you don't have to do it if you work through me.
Right.
If you work through me, you don't have to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could change it to PGE as a client.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So that is
Thank you.
that is John. So can we just take a separate motion to approve the shallow on-site well evaluation and the possible off-site well evaluation?
I'll make a motion for the shallow well evaluation and the possible off-site evaluation.
Okay.
I'll second
All in favor? Aye.
I'll run through the rest of my report, if you will.
And then we can I'll come back when we have results and present them to you if you like.
Thank you, yes.
Appreciate it.
It's better to hear it from him.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's helpful to show them and answer directly.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, turning to page 2, the P130 project, that is done. We're working on closeout with the county, helping them with, the contractor out there basically didn't keep really good paperwork of his own. And so we're having to run dirt models to help the county prove what they should pay them. So we're working through that with them. Amy, did you get a check from 290 for, our 290 received their reimbursement from the county, and we're supposed to get 42,000.
We have not, but I'll make a note to get with the 290.
Yeah, they may have just gotten it last week or so. So
What was that amount though, just?
it was $42,030.58. So Mr. Stubblefield, on that, we contributed to another project downstream. We all own portions of this Channel 290, 278, and truck. So we contributed to that, and they contributed to our project too. Okay, the Rankin Road right-of-way modifications, I've talked to their engineer. Construction is anticipated to begin around August 1st. And so I need to just keep talking with them about how we have to maintain access to the wastewater treatment plant and to the park. So, matter of fact,
They're coming in and widening the road or
they're
whatever?
widening it for a stint.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see, our capital bond is on hold pending the results of the well core testing. And then, so review and consider, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, capital improvements plan. So I handed out to you the capital improvements plan that we did last year in 2024, which was a comprehensive plan where we went out to the site, visited with your operator, went through every single facility, and then we came up with probable projects that were classified by priority, if you'll remember. Some of them are age-related, asset renewal, some of them are environmental regulations, some of them were operator improvement requests, and some of them would have been, and y'all don't have any really until later in life, but planned project for expanded capacity. And so it's important to review your capital improvements plan yearly. A lot of times you can move forward with this and don't have to do an all-inclusive one again because but you have this here as a good go-by. I will say that since we've been out at the wastewater treatment plant so much and with the bar screen being down for so long, there are a few more projects that the operator has mentioned that need to be done. You were on the board 7 years ago. We had to clean out the clarifiers and clean out the digesters, and I know y'all did just some little light cleaning on it recently, but because the bar screen was down for quite a bit, there's probably a lot of junk in those basins that needs to be cleaned out. That's not a project that's on here, as well as sorry, I have a piece of paper. The non-potable system, which is actually on here. The non-pot pump replacement project is on here at $350,000. Now, what we can do, and we would just do it hourly. Well, let me not get there. So we could update that based on the things that we've been seeing. We could go ahead and add to this your well for maybe the shallow well, maybe the blending. We could add some of those things that we've kind of come across in the last year. The other thing, and I bring this up, which is in accordance with item review asset condition assessment. So I think that is something. So as part of our plan, we have the second page that's in our capital improvement plan that tells you every single component, major component that you have at each site, the year that it was built, and then the last year it was rehabilitated, and then our estimated life and our estimated rehab life, when you would have to recoat your plants. And so in the district world, the mud district world, this is generally what you get for something. It's not going out and turning every nut, every bolt, everything on the site. It's kind of anticipating the larger items. So I didn't know if that was what you were looking for.
Well, this is definitely a start. Because that's just what I'm used to. Is you start with this, then it kind of tells you what to take the closer look at.
Right.
And then you go out and field assess it just to verify that what's on paper kind of matches up.
Right.
Because not saying with y'all,
right,
but I've seen in other industries where you're like, oh, well, this one says it's 35 years old and we need to replace it. Then you get out there and it's like, we replaced it 3 years ago and never updated our record.
Yeah, so that is another thing as part of the capital improvements plan.
And some of these are supposed to have been replaced in 2016, 2019, 2020.
No, that's when they were done. That was the last time they were done.
Oh,
yeah.
It says next replacement. Next replace.
Yeah.
You go down, there's some.
But again, it's an anticipated, right? You don't, this is not a necessarily anticipated.
Okay.
Right, and so you can kind of correlate that back to your capital improvements plan where we assign all the values.
Okay.
So one thing to point out, for example, if you look under the wastewater treatment plant 503 and it says blower replacement, So blower replacement at $706,000 is something you can anticipate to do because they may have a blower go out, or you could do a full blower replacement project if you wanted to do a full blower replacement project, right? So some of the things that we put in there, like when we'll say replace booster pumps or booster pumps, seal replacement, those are like anticipated. It's not that we're gonna go fix something that's not broken, it's based on the age and the life cycle of something, we could anticipate that in that year it could happen.
Okay.
That's why you have an O&M tax and your O&M account, so that you can be paying for some of those blower here, blower there. But then that's why you have a capital bond when we do capital bonds to say, we're gonna do, this non-pot system, we're gonna clean out the basins, we're gonna do all this, and we have $1 million project. That's when we wanna go and we wanna do bonds for larger projects, right? Because we worked really hard 6 months ago to adjust our water rates to get more revenue coming into your operating account, because your operating account was decreasing and your longevity of your account was decreasing. So this is all meant to be a tool to help you to plan. I do recommend, based on some of the things that have been going on out at the wastewater treatment plant, we should go through, take a look, at this, go out to the site if we need to, because I know they've brought up some things that in the last year that have kind of come up, and we can update this plan, update the cost estimates. We can get with them, get all their work orders that they've had for the last year. We can plug all that into this table and keep it up to, update everything so we know exactly what's happened. Like if we replaced seals, replaced a blower, replaced a motor. So we can do all of those things. And so if you would like, we can do that hourly, not to exceed. So we would just do it by the hour for $6,000. I don't know that it's gonna cost that much, but it depends on when we get out there working with them, what we kind of find to do. So, I did bring a proposal for that. I didn't have that number on Friday, if that's something that you're interested in doing. And before we get into that, I guess, so that kind of, to me, covers capital improvement plan and asset condition assessment, because I think those two go together. Another thing, because I think these all go together, is your GIS system. And so I was going to pull that up for you so you could see that. Okay, so your GIS system was last updated in 2021. I think that was right around the time we started it in 2020 and we finished it like in 2021. And yours basically is an inventory, right? There's nothing magical about it. It's a great resource for your operators, for us as the engineers. We can go in here if we want to look at a line. So it's really hard to now for me to do this from here, but like if I click on this line, for example, I can see, it's a gravity, PVC line, it's flow lines. I can come here at the bottom of it, I can click on this, I can get the plan and profile, and I can go look at that in the field. So like for operators, if there's something going on in the field and they go look at a manhole, or they go look at a water valve, or they go look at anything, right at their fingertips, they can just click on anything. Some of them have pictures, for example. Let's see if I can find a picture, one that has a picture. Sorry. See, like this particular one, we have photographs of the hydrant. So like when we did your initial thing, what we did was we got all of your lines put into the system. We got all of your plans to back the lines up. And we went out in the field and we geographically located every valve, every fire hydrant, every manhole. So all of that is in here by coordinates. So, but basically your system is just that, like just the base inventory. So since,
and you say it hasn't been backed up since 2021?
No, it's backed up, but there's nothing
It doesn't
new.
need to be if it's just the base, right?
Yeah.
So you have all your inventory in, and that's what it is. Your inventory hasn't changed.
Yeah.
You haven't added more valves. You haven't added more hydrants.
Okay.
So your district hasn't grown to incorporate new areas.
Okay.
So that's why it hasn't had to be updated, because everything's already mapped for us.
Okay.
So beyond mapping, your GIS system can become a much more powerful tool. So right now, the way that it works, they have access online. So they have an app on their phone. I don't know if they use it all the time, but like if they were out there looking for a valve or something like that, they can actually pull this up on their phone, and they can walk with their map and find it if they can't find something, right? So That's great, but you can do other things, like they do valve surveys, they do manhole surveys. So we can create applications for them where when they go out, they open a manhole, they look in the manhole, they can have like 10 questions they like to answer about each manhole. They'll go manhole coating bad, cracks on the side, blah, 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 blah. And so they can put a priority on it, like it's a priority 1, needs to be fixed right away, or priority 5, it doesn't need to be. So they can go out and collect all this data on manholes, or they can collect data on water valves, like your fire hydrants. They can go out and turn all the hydrants and say, bad turn needs to be replaced. They can prioritize work, and we can create dashboards where we can prioritize your work. So they can assign a number, like this manhole costs $1,000 to fix, this one costs whatever to fix. And we can create dashboards. And I'm happy to bring all of this and show you it through someone else's GIS system. But you guys, when we first got in, it was just a base system. And as you know, with technology, it's always growing, right? So you have a great system. I use your system all the time. I'm always looking for plans, looking for, if something comes up, I'm going and looking. Things that we've started doing, ArcGIS is a ever-evolving program. So we create what they call a dashboard or your own website for your GIS system. And so that would house this map. It could house your LCRR, your lead and copper, any water valve survey, any sanitary sewer survey, things that they did. We would have all of your data there just at a click of a button.
Okay, on your report, you did relocate something that was under a driveway.
Blow off valve, yeah. So that could be updated on this, and we'll definitely give that information to her to update that, because that would need to be changed.
But did this system help you find it under the driveway?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I was gonna ask, so like when you, not that specifically, but like when you click on this valve, does it show like installation date or anything like that?
Yeah, well, so let me just click on, for example, let's see. So if I just click, so if you click on these, let's see, it's install date 6/13/2014. That was when it was put in the ground. Atascocita Forest 25. Let's see, there's several little things behind here. Let's see. It gives you the flow lines of the storm line, the diameter of the pipe. It gives you the attachment again where the plane and profile pops up. So it's a pretty powerful thing,
right.
Especially. I mean, we used to have files. I had to go pull it out, put it up. So this
but
is.
That's what I mean. But someone's got to maintain it. So like in the one there, you just replace that curb stop.
Yeah.
Who goes in and updates?
So that's not in your system yet,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
If you opted to get the bigger system, then we would give the information or the guys would out in the field as they're doing the work would have that app on their phones or their tablets, could put the information in as they're doing the work. So
and then it comes
and
back
then it's automatically updated on the engineer's GIS. So we have the application that as they're doing the work, they take the picture, they track it, they say what they've done, and it's updated in the system. So we don't have to necessarily say, okay, here's all of the work we did in the month. The guys are just doing it when they're out there doing the work.
Okay.
So of course everything costs money, right?
Right.
So to upgrade to the newest user experience, which is like your own website, they say that would be $2,500. And then the creation of a system dashboard. So this one says, as the system inspection repairs are housed or the system grows, we have a filter where we can say, how many feet of water line do we have? How many feet of sanitary we have? How many manholes do we have? Like we'll have like a whole database of like all of your items. And then as they go through, if we integrate some of those scalability for inspections, which we do those on a per inspection, meaning we'll create the app for them the first time for sanitary sewer manhole inspections. It'd be $6,000. They can go out, they're gonna charge you to do all the inspections. But the next time they do it, they have the app. And then what it'll show, there'll be a dashboard, it'll be like green, red, yellow, and it'll kind of give you the priorities. And then as they fix them, they can click on it and make it green because it's good again now, right? Or if it's red and now we fix it, it's green again now. So it can be a very powerful tracking tool. And I'm happy to have someone come in and walk you through the different features if that's what you would like. So you don't have to make any decisions today. It's fully functional for what I use it for, what she uses it for. Can it be more powerful? It can be as powerful as you would like it to be. The thing that we've always said, and the thing that we said when we were selling GIS to you guys the first time was, for me, I love it, right? But if the operator's not gonna use it, then it's not that, then it's not that important, but they do. And I wanted to show you just a couple of other little features just for your information. So, we have layers. So, wait, let me zoom back out, my bad. Let me go over here, like to your water plant. So if I come down here to your water plant and I click on your water plant, I can see all of the plans. This is when we put our generator in, this is when we put the water plant in, this is when we expanded the plant, and this is when we added the gasifier. So all of the plans that are associated with that particular plant are there. Another thing that we also do is the subdivisions, for example. So if I go out, like, let me make that go away. Anti-coordination is great. So if I zoom out, now all of your subdivisions are a different color. So if I just want the full set of plans for Atascocita Forest 26, now instead of just getting a page, now I can get the full set. So now I have the whole entire set of plans for anything that's there. So like if someone calls and asks me for a sheet or asks me for data, like over there by Walmart, I just pull this up, download it, shoot it over to them. So it's a great system. I have it in all of the districts that I have that are, and I'm speaking of me, Kelly Schroeder, but all the districts I have of your age, I have this system, and it's a great system. So, but it does, to your point, it is what it is today until we get into a more interactive program. There's really nothing, like if I'm in a neighborhood that I'm putting new sections on the ground all the time, then there's more maintenance. And yes, you should be reviewing it because we need to get our new stuff in there, but you're in a static situation right now.
Okay, thank you.
Just to clarify stuff I've heard in the past, how much did this cost?
It was $70,000.
Okay.
But we had to, so a lot of the old stuff was drawn by hand.
Right.
So we had to
a lot
draw
of
it all
manual.
in and do all that. We had everything scanned, we uploaded it, and then we had to go to the field, and it might have been in combination with y'all, but we might have used environmental interns that went out and touched that fire hydrant, touched that manhole, and that's how we have all the GPS coordinates on every single feature. One of the cool things in an upgraded system is that they have what they call a utility. It's called a utility network. So these are just lines. They're lines for all intents. But if you create a utility network and they have to shut off a water valve, you can have an app in there where if I turn off this water valve, and I'm going to go back, Kim, because this isn't really good. If I shut off a certain water valve, it can tell me how many houses would be out of service if I shut off a water valve. So when you have a utility network, it's a little bit more of advanced of a system. So, So it's up to you if you want to. I mean, it's great for the purposes of what we use it for today. It's a super huge time saver and reference at their fingertips all the time. But
it wouldn't hurt to see a demo.
Okay, I can ask them to maybe they'll Teams in or whatever. That way they can just share screen stuff. So anyway. I think that's all for me, except for just approval if you want to do the capital improvement plan, and then I can have them get online next month and kind of walk you through just through different things we do for different districts based on their needs. Unless you have any questions.
Well, actually, it's just my opinion on the capital improvement plan. I would kind of say, would it be wise to just wait till we get his report back to put it all together?
You can do that. The only reason to start it kind of now is that she's about to be in budgeting purposes.
Right.
She's about to be in her budgeting cycle, so we try to time getting approval on that right before budgeting, so we know what we would put into her budget to spend out of operating, and we were planning a bond, we just haven't done it yet. So that's why we're here at this point, because you said, when are we at?
So I'll bring the first draft next month, and then we have a couple of months to adopt it. So
Right.
We can even, between Kelly and I, we can look at like what she thinks is upcoming outside of that well, and at least plan for that stuff, and then just know that
we can adjust
whatever
our budget
happens
at any time.
Yeah.
So we can wait, or we can go, you can have us start looking at it, and then we can add his stuff later. It's up to y'all. It's a living document, just like her budget is. So
So if we approve it right now, what we're approving is just going out and doing some assessments.
Well, if necessary, a lot of what, I mean, I think we might need to make a trip to the plants and talk about some of the clean outs and stuff, but we don't need to go to your water plants this time and things like that. It'll be a lot of just looking back over the priorities that we have on here, updating the costs for what we know today, because we know those are all ever changing, so.
Changes today that we've already been surprised with, which probably, hold on.
I want to thank
What do
you
y'all
for
think?
bringing this, I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Or do you want to go ahead and move it in? What do y'all think? I mean, my opinion is hold off at least one more month.
Okay.
Yeah. That's kind of what do you think?
Well, like she says, we want to be sure we have all our ducks in a row before we go to budget planning.
Right.
So, half a dozen one another.
Yeah. So what is it you need?
I would just need approval on that hourly $6,000, not to exceed $6,000 to update the CIP. There's no other action. Oh, you've already approved John Nelson's work, so there's no other action items. It's action item H.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to wait on it until the next meeting. I'll second Tell us what you think.
Well, things move kind of slow. I hate to put a bow on it and then we're not up to date when we need to be. That's my only thing.
You want to go ahead and roll forward, we can roll forward. I mean, I'm kind of thinking about it.
Yeah, I am too. That's me on the fence. I don't know yay or nay.
You think about black and white.
Okay. You seconded? All in favor?
We'll take action on it next month for sure.
Okay, thanks.
District for Facilities Landscape Maintenance Report.
All right, good afternoon. You have two reports in front of you, one for maintenance report and the other one for stormwater quality features. We'll go through the maintenance report first. The last monthly visit was not on the 2nd of June. I apologize for the error there. That was completed on the 19th. The pictures from the report are from the 17th. I was out of town last week, so we did our recon the week before. So I was out there when they started doing their monthly mowing and finished on the 19th. So the carryover from the last meeting, I wasn't able to attend. The Apple Hollow diesel repairs were completed. We have a couple proposals that were on the agenda for the last meeting. I know that the cleaning of the stormwater quality features was approved, and that is scheduled to be done very shortly. But this report was on the 4th. They were not done by then. So those are on schedule to be done if they haven't been done already. But the other two proposals have to do with the cleaning up a dead tree in the Apple Hollow detention, and then Wintergreen Park adding some dirt to try to level out the water that holds in the wooded area pretty consistently. So those are stapled at the end of the report. The pictures, page 2, just shows an update on the project we completed a couple months ago to fill in some areas on the Atascocita Forest detention next to the sidewalks and some areas on the slopes. Grass is starting to come through, that erosion blanket, fill in pretty nicely. Like I said, these pictures are from the 17th. It was right after a rain event, so you do see some water in the Pinion Court Park. That tends to drain after 24 hours. It does it pretty slow. And we do keep an eye on that sidewalk, the drain underneath the sidewalk, and keep it clear. So as I mentioned, the grass meets pictures is pretty long because they were in the process of doing their monthly mowing. Page 4 just shows current pictures of Wintergreen Park. You can see the top right, the area where the water is. Page 5 shows the tree. This tree finally fell over. It's been leaning for a while. it did finally topple over. So one of the proposals would be to get this cut up and removed. There's also some debris that tends to show up pretty regularly in the Rankin Road right away behind the houses there. We've mentioned it before, it's kind of being a dumping area. Residents tend to throw stuff back there. We don't really often know where it comes from, but they'll cut trees and just throw them in that easement right there. So would include cleaning up the branches that have been thrown back there recently. And I don't think if there's anything else. The only other thing I wanted to bring up, I know we discussed before, is we budget for cleaning of you have 5 trash troopers. You have 7 total stormwater quality features in your district. 5 of those are the small trash troop, what we call trash trooper units. They fill up pretty quickly. Right now, we clean them out quarterly with approval from the board. So not we would have to inspect them, bring the inspection report to you, get an approved. Now, you budget for it in your contract, but we only clean them with your approval at the board meeting. We'd much prefer to just go ahead and clean them instead of coming to it for approval. We could always show you in hindsight why we cleaned them and have pictures for you, but it cuts out the delay of going out and inspecting them, waiting for a meeting, getting approval at the meeting, and then maybe waiting another week or 2 for them to get cleaned. A lot can happen during that time. If it's consistent, we know we're going to do it every single time. We prefer that. So I want to present that to you and see if that would be something you would be okay with if we just did them. We prefer to do them monthly. We have them quarterly, but maybe if we do them 6 times. We budget for 6 a year. If we have to do more, we can get approval to do more, but that's what I would propose to do them, is maybe switch from quarterly to every other month. So that's just something to discuss, and I'll answer any questions about. I just thought that would be a responsible thing to do, is make sure we're cleaning them consistently and not having any delay between getting inspection approval and getting cleaned done. So happy to discuss that. And the other 2 proposals, you could ignore the 3rd proposal, which was the cleaning of the trash. That was approved in the minutes. But it was in the minutes that was approved in the last meeting. You guys have any questions about anything? Master permit did get approved. So I'll also, at the next meeting, I can come with a revised budget that will eliminate the renewals on all 6 of the permits. 7 features, 6 permits. One of those permits has 2 features on it. So that would eliminate the renewal fee for each one of those and lump it into one, so you'll have some cost savings there. I can bring that revision for that reduction in the contract there for the next meeting if you like. We'll figure out exactly when that permit renewal date is. We're not sure if it's when the permit is requested or when it's actually approved, but they update their database every so often. We should know pretty soon when that actual permit renewal date is. So we can kind of plan our cleanings, at least the yearly cleaning for the storm trooper around that. Any other questions you have about anything?
No. As far as your other, do you have any questions?
I was trying to decide if, are they getting that dirty that every 30 days is warranted?
Say that again.
Are they getting that dirty that it warrants going to 30 days?
Well, a lot of times we'll budget.
I understand the delay you're talking about for waiting.
I would say yes. Now we can go through a dry spell where we don't see it getting clean, but it is pretty consistent that every month. The truth is, a lot of times we'll budget 12 times a year, and we'll go out there, if it's clean, we'll skip it.
Yeah.
All right, just like we skip a maintenance when it
When it
rains.
broke, don't fix
Yeah,
it.
and we could show you, here's the report, it need to be clean, here's why.
Would a 60-day be reasonable?
I think we at least, well, we're at least gonna clean them 6 times a year. I mean, they get dirty very quickly, especially when it rains. So I would recommend every other month, 6 times a year, and then if we get in a situation where we get a bad rain and the next month we need to clean it, I'll come to them and say. But it's, I think that'd be my recommendation to budget for it and first 6 times a year on just that. The other 2 units, storm trooper once a year. That's a very big unit. Not a lot going through there.
We get a hurricane or tropical storm or something too.
We'll look at it. Sometimes we do an extra one there, but most of the time we're like, we kind of know when these are need to be cleaned by now and how frequent they need to be cleaned. So
60 days reasonable a year, or do you want to keep on quarterly or?
No, I mean, that was something I kind of suggested a while back. I mean, I'm good with, because like you said, even if we approve the 60 days, if he shows up and it's, for whatever reason, it's not that dirty.
if I show you, here we cleaned it on this day, and 3 weeks later it's a mess, then I'd say we need to do another.
We have a lot of
Right,
residents that are blowing their grass.
Yeah, there's some trash and leaves.
Like you said, they're dumping trash.
We put letter, messages on the website before, just about, you know, I don't know how many people read the website, you know, enough to, but, you know, just, it's rainy season, limit your grass clippings to your bags and not in storm drains, and we're cleaning up.
Well, it is against the law.
Threaten them with.
No, I stopped and told the resident that I caught blowing them directly in there, and I said, sir, this is against the law, and you're causing people money. You need to stop this. Well, I called the constables, and they did go out and give him a warning. If I catch him again, I hope we're gonna give him a ticket. Because I had the laws pulled up, and we're gonna put those on the website, hopefully. So I want people to know it's against the law. It's not a suggestion, it's against the law to do that.
But the other 2 bids, I think, I'd like to see if we could get some other proposals on those. It just seems a little excessive for tree removal.
Yeah, tell us about the tree removal, because the tree is already down, which is half the problem. Obviously, getting it cleaned up is the other problem. So 75-50. Am I looking at that right?
Yeah, so it includes removal of the tree, it also just branches and it includes cleaning up the entire pond of branches. And a lot of those branches are really low, and they just, every time we go out there, there's more out there, so. It's not just the tree, it is all the branches, loose limbs that have fallen down. We would need to bring a roll-off container, so I've included the budget for roll-off, and that's one haul-off of a 40-foot container. And then it also includes the Rankin Road right-of-way branches as well.
In Clayton's detention?
No.
That's what it says on here, in Clayton's detention.
Oh, that one's, well, there was, at the last meeting, there was a branch in Clayton's detention, and it's gone now. So I'll take $500.
I'm just saying, I thought, boy, that's a long distance.
No, I should have changed the wording on that for this,
Okay.
since it was last month. Yeah, someone already picked that one up. And honestly, it's been a month, you know, I don't know if it's gotten worse or not, but we'll on the price for now.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's your discretion if you want to get more bids, so it's up to you.
Well, what's funny is also at the top it says you put the proposal out January 5th.
Oh, it does, on both of them.
Just another mistake I apologize. January?
Yeah, 1/5 of 2025.
That's supposed to auto it, so I don't pay attention to it. So let's fix that. Apologize.
Which all the things in the other 2.
I'm in favor of getting additional pricing.
All right.
Ken, what do you think? You want me to get it done, or you want me to make additional prices?
Like I say, I'm not,
$75.50 a tree that's already on the ground.
I don't cut up trees and I don't mow them. I don't go
I
get.
saw you with that chainsaw.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did look that up, didn't I? Hey. Okay,
In the last report, I have more pictures of the rest of it, the branches in Apple Hollow. If that helps paint a picture of what's down out there.
yeah. There's more than what you're seeing in the pictures he's presented
Very
today.
likely, but I can also pull it up in my last report as well.
Okay, I do want to ask a question. The gate that comes off the road that dead ends,
The Winter Green Park.
no, right
Yeah.
behind the Rankin Road, where all the trees are and
Correct,
everything.
the one off
The
Woodland
gate,
Hills.
the gate doesn't do anything, and there's a chain hanging there that does nothing. All you do is push on the gate and it opens.
The one that is at the north, at the far west end of Apple Hollow.
At
Where we have the cable
at
stolen and.
the south,
Okay.
at the south end.
Closer to Woodland Hills or like over in the neighborhood?
Over in the neighborhood.
Oh, the one in the neighborhood?
Yeah.
I know where it's going by.
Well, we'll cut off and put a new chain in there.
Well, I was gonna say, we've done that a couple of times now for whatever reason.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I wanna make sure it's the right one,
There's
but I
two
know
locks.
we've replaced a couple chains.
There's two locks on it and a huge chain. The gate is worthless because it doesn't meet anymore. It's sagging, you know.
Right.
You
Well, we
can't,
just loop around.
you can't slide, yeah.
Yeah, those, the mechanism itself is
Yeah.
not, we just loop it around the actual.
Okay. I think I know what you're talking about.
But, we can go replace that.
I was gonna say, why do we keep it, I know we keep it locked to keep the off-road people off of there,
Well,
but,
the truth is, there's access at the other end of the Rankin Road right away too, closer to the Harris County channel.
right,
Well, there's no gate or anything.
Right.
And there's tracks from people that
oh, yeah.
go back
I
there
know.
and dump.
That's what I'm
So when they
saying.
did the hurricane cleanup, there were tracks.
That's what I'm saying. Are we fighting a losing battle? Is there any reason to even do anything? Just go out and put the chain back
No, we
around
could
it?
put up a fence and a gate at the open area.
Okay. We'll just table that. We'll table
Well, we have, whether it's just bollards, right now what you have on one of the accesses is bollards, there's no chain, I mean, there's no cable.
Yeah.
But you have bollards to keep out bigger vehicles, not to keep out a bike, right? But you have
Yeah.
that and a gate, but you can also enter from Harris County channel.
Yes.
It's not, you could never have it completely secure.
Right, I agree.
Unless you put it a pretty long fence
Yeah.
just on your property.
I know, that's what I'm
next to the
saying.
woods,
It
right?
just seems like it's a repetitive. I was just wondering why it was just looped and hanging over the fence there, but.
Is it, yeah, if it's the one I'm thinking of, we replaced it not too long ago.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. That's,
So,
I just.
and you,
It could just
when
not
I
be
see it,
locked
I
properly.
don't bring it to you, we just go replace it. You know,
Oh,
I just tell
okay.
the guys to put a new one on.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes our locks disappear or we put a
Well,
new
like
lock
I say,
on
there's
it.
two locks on this chain, but they don't do anything.
Okay.
They're just on the chain.
We'll just cut them off and put a new one on.
Well, that's what, no, it sounds like it might even be your locks, they just didn't chain it back up, right?
Yeah, maybe not.
Because the
Maybe-
chain's there, the locks are
The
there,
crew might have just.
they're just
didn't
not.
lock it up on there.
Right.
We can always fix that. But,
Well, just check on it. Okay.
yeah, we absolutely will.
Okay.
So I'll make the motion to accept the report and go ahead and authorize the every other month cleaning of the storm troopers. But hold on the two bids to get some other bids, maybe, Donald knows somebody that can give a bid on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll look at it. Yeah, I'll look at it.
I'll say-
One or two bids worth it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, district recreational facilities management report and take any action.
All right,
So I got a couple things for y'all, should be in y'all's board packet. Opinion court looks great, Double Oak's doing a great job over there. The dog park turf, I think I reported this last time, the turf has been installed. The park benches in the back on the main entrance, they continues to have this paint being put on them. I can't figure out what it is. It's like nail polish paint. But it's happened twice this past month. And what I found is the small dog park over the weekend, the paint was actually in the drinking fountains over there. So I don't know. I'm really not sure. It comes off really easily, but I don't know what it is. I don't know who it is. I'm gonna try and see if we can go out there at different times. I think it's a kid that's just.
The cameras catch that? All the cameras we have and nothing's there?
I mean, I could sit there all day. And
No,
figure out-
ask the camera people to find it.
Oh, okay. I'll ask them and see if they can. Will they sit there and find, hey,
Go
painting?
If you give them a date range.
Yeah.
But they're also, they're going to charge an hourly fee to.
Scratch that.
Yeah, so we'll just keep an eye on it and clean it. It's like nail. I don't know if it's nail polish or if it's like someone's painting like on paper and it's bleeding through the paper. But whatever it is, they're washing it out at the Small Dog Park water fountain. So yeah, we're working on that. And then the large dog park, I know last month we had the gate guy go out and check all the gates, make sure that they're working. When we were out there this past week, one of the pins on the large dog park entrance is like pin broke. It's like snapped. It's pushed up and out. I don't know if someone tried to take the door off the hinge to get out or whatnot, because that's an entrance, not an exit. I'm not really sure. So that's something that I'm waiting on pricing to get back to see. It should be capable of being approved outside of a meeting with the park. It's not going to be that expensive. The splash pad drainage has been unclogged. We actually had to take off the cover and completely snake the line that goes to the splash pad drainage. When the guys were out there doing that, they opened up the boxes that go to the splash pad and realized that you actually have some leaking pipes inside of those. So one thing that I want to do is, at least on a quarterly basis, for us to start, my team is going to start opening those boxes up once a month, just to make sure that there's no leaks in there, because who knows how long it's been leaking, right? We don't go in there unless winter time to basically turn it off in the winter time. So
Is that box that's out where the hole is dug up?
No, that's
another leak?
That's an irrigation leak.
It's been fixed.
Yeah, these are the actual splash pad parts inside of there, the solenoids that go to the splash pad. So,
Okay.
I don't have a price for that yet to fix. I had to get the splash pad company to come take a look at it. And I wanted to ask if it was under warranty. So we're going through that. Something else that's the park committee could absolutely approve outside of the meeting. Shouldn't be expensive things. So, that's that. And then that's already been done. Drainage, large dog park squares are clogged. That's constantly happening with splash pad right now. Wintergreen Park is in good condition. I mean, Double Oak has performed its contract. I know we had those couple low spots that we'll work through. The cracked tree in the neighbor's yard, that branch was removed. Yeah, Lago Forest looks amazing. Pretty much that's where we're at. Park benches. Okay, so two things. Y'all's poles inside of the dog park. The poles themselves, best option for the rust that are on the actual pole themselves is for us to sand them down, have a company sand them down and repaint them. And I was like, oh, we'll do that in the off season. Well, not a real off season for the dog park. So I was thinking wintertime would be the best time to do that. But so I'm gonna move forward with trying to get proposals for people to repaint those. And then the park benches themselves. Basically, the manufacturer has said that they have to be repainted. And instead of y'all paying someone to go knock off all the paint on site and repaint them, because I did get some cost for that, and it's not cheap to do that. I think I reached out to a powder coating company, and maybe we can do this in phases and like remove 7 of the park benches, take them down there, have him actually re-powder coat the whole thing, and then us come back and install them. I think that would be a little better than us just brushing stuff off and putting touch-up paint over and over and over again. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now for the park benches, to have those redone. They're not structurally damaged in any way. It's just kind of aesthetics and coming off on the sides. So I wanted to ask y'all if that's something that y'all want me to move forward with on having him, I have to take one of them over there. That's what I have to do. I have to take one of them over there to him to see if it can fit in his, booth, yeah, powder coating booth. So I was gonna take the large ones from, the largest ones y'all have from, one of them from, Lago Forest. The Lago Forest ones are longer than the ones at the dog park.
The Lago Forest ones are also the ones that are in worse shape.
Okay.
They're older than the dog park.
Well, I mean, what's the cost of painting on site versus taking off-site powder coating versus just replacing with brand new?
I can gather all that.
Yeah.
I know painting on site, it's gonna have a lot of dust and all that stuff like that. That's on it. The powder coating guy that I have used in the past, we powder coated some poles, for another district, and it was like $125 if I could get them there. So I'm thinking hopefully for these park benches that he's gonna be somewhere in like $200 to $300 range to have that done.
Okay.
Which is gonna be a lot cheaper.
Right.
Than having someone sit there on site and hand remove all of that stuff.
Wire
and
brush
repaint
and
them.
rust all
Right.
literally
Yeah,
like
and
Lago
repaint
Forest or
it.
rust.
So, yeah, I think it's hoping it's gonna be like $300 to $400 each park bench. That's what I'm hoping happens here, but,
Just need to verify.
Yeah.
Don't wanna drop it off and he's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's 1,500.
yeah. Well, I'll drop one off so he can give us a price. That's what I was gonna
Okay.
do. I have to drop one off for him to give us a price.
To do the worst two at Lago Forest, see the price, see the quality of the work, see if it's gonna be a long-term solution.
Yeah.
If y'all wanna do something like that before touching the dog.
That's what I would say. I mean, first we just need an estimate.
Use Lago Forest for the test.
Yeah.
And then I was gonna take a base with me when I go there, one of the bases for the poles. So we know we have to repaint the poles on site, but the bases, if we can get those, the least things that we actually have to paint on site, the better. If we get things powder coating is gonna last longer than paint. So, I'm gonna take a base with me too. I think the bases will literally cost like $30 to get him to repowder coat those, but
Okay.
just gotta get them over there to him for that to happen. Kind of need direction from y'all. I can, next meeting, y'all want me to get pricing for someone to physically come out and do every one of them, and then pricing to powder coat. But to do the powder coating, I have to take one there.
Yeah,
to
so,
see it.
I mean, I'm okay with you doing that now. I'll take in one to get the quote.
Okay, do you want me to have him do one if it's below a certain dollar amount? I mean, if it's $1,000, I'm gonna probably balk at it myself.
Right.
If it's a couple $100 for him to say, to do it,
Yeah, I'd say something like, just to be on the safe side, what, not to exceed 500?
yeah, park committee we have 20,
Right.
or whatever, so I can approve that through the park committee if y'all want me to.
Our park committee just half of it's going.
Well, yeah,
So,
Yeah, I know, Johnny was still on it.
okay.
I think 500's too much.
Well, like I said, that was just to be.
Yeah,
crazy.
no.
we want to do 350.
I gotta see how much they cost, so I'll see how much they cost and I'll come back to y'all, with it. If they're more expensive, I'll also get a price for how much these park benches cost to begin with.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna guess.
Yeah.
On the park committee.
Yeah. I don't know how much they cost. I don't know if these benches are like 5,000 a piece or what.
I think so.
Probably.
See, if they are 5,000 a piece, then 500 to repaint them, to have them repowder coated,
You think that's reasonable?
if they're truly
The
$5,000.
ones at Lago Forest are going to become structural, probably in the
Oh,
next
okay.
couple of years.
Oh, okay.
Because it's right,
Yeah, it's right at the end of it.
It's at-
Okay.
on the top of the
Okay.
road, and so the dog park ones are just cosmetic right now. They're just,
Okay,
they're already ugly looking and they're not that old
okay.
to be as ugly looking as they are for the price they
Yeah.
probably cost. And the street lights at the dog park, and last month when we discussed them, it was just one base, maybe two, but when he and I walked around, and then Sean and I walked around a few days later, it's multiple bases. And the thought was maybe just a dog peeing on poles sort of thing, but no, there's some that the dogs are not, they're just either the irrigation's hitting them
Okay.
or something. Or
But
it's
powder
defect in
coating
the
will solve
manufacturing.
that problem, correct?
Should.
Of them
Well,
rusting?
Yeah.
It'll last a lot.
It'll last a whole lot longer than just
Okay.
Rust-Oleum some
Yeah.
Rag-Tan on it.
Okay.
powder coat has like a clear coat on it, so
Okay.
as long as that clear coat stays alive and no one scratches it, it should
Okay.
stay.
Okay.
And also powder coating is baked on,
It's baked on, yeah.
so
Okay.
versus
Like
rattle can.
4,000 degrees.
Okay. $500 then, okay.
Okay, and then, I have, so
I'd like to
originally.
ask a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Why were the lights left on today at the dog park? All the lights, all the lamps were on?
They're on today. Yeah, so last week we went out and we have like an analog control in the storage room. So I don't know if it's like due to power outages or something, but we'll set the control to off and then essentially you'll have the dial turn and it'll tick it on and off. So it happens manually.
All the lights
So I
were
went-
on.
Yeah.
I mean, all the lights
They
were
were
on.
on. Yeah, so I have a picture from last week of when I went out and turned the lights off, so to recorrect it. So I don't know if maybe there's some kind of electrical issue with the control. We might have to look deeper
Is that
into
under warranty?
Let me get back to you on that.
Okay.
I'm not even, I'm really not certain.
Okay.
I wonder if they are losing power, if we need to do like a battery backup or a small battery backup for it. I don't know
I
how
don't
long
see why it's
it's
not
power.
on a daylight sensor.
What?
Well, it's not on just a sensor.
Yeah.
The controls are underneath that covered area.
Yeah, but
You can mount a sensor anywhere.
Hey, that's what y'all want us to look into doing.
Well, then you ain't gotta worry about the rest of it.
Okay.
Sell out there.
So sensor goes bad.
Are you gonna look into that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are 20 bucks.
So, are you good?
I got one more.
Okay.
So, part of what we've talked about before with the dog park is like, hey, we didn't have a mulch that was included in those contracts. We went to 2 mulches a year versus just having it the one right before the summertime. So what we have found is the post-emergent is excluded from the contract for the dog park, but it is included in the contract for Lima Forest. So I went through with Sean and he provided me pricing for post-emergent treatments to be added to his contract for like moving forward. So those costs are roughly $3,500. It's $3,592.05. I wanted to bring that to the board's attention to see if we could get that approved for him. So it's not, hey, there's weeds in the grass. Hey, Sean, there's weeds in the grass. Hey, let me give you a price to remedy the weeds. Okay, board of directors, now we have this, and then it's next month. I'd rather it just be like everything else. It's already in the contract. So when he does Lago Forest, he'll also do the dog park itself. I don't know why it wasn't in the contract for the dog park, it just wasn't. So, so any weeds that are actually in the turf area, the grass, they're not contractually responsible for getting rid of them right now. So I would like to make him contractually responsible for getting rid of this. So, so yeah, waiting on y'all to give me an approval for that. And then we had some bare spots in the turf that is just not coming back from the wintertime. They just continuously are just not coming back. So me and Sean have talked at length about this now, and he has asked if we could put a hybrid fertilizer in instead of a complete organic fertilizer. It says that it will help those areas fill in. This isn't a quote unquote cost difference. It's more of just a different product that he thinks would work better for y'all's park. So that was something else I wanted to bring to y'all. Crystal said, hey, no brainer for us to change it. That's what Sean recommends. So those are my 2 things for that big dog park and getting that turf to look better.
Any thoughts?
No, you already heard earlier, the grass over there looks
Okay.
lackluster at best.
What do we need to do to change that contractually for Sean?
Well, you need to put it on the agenda to do the amendment.
Okay.
And then amend it, I've already made a note.
Oh, okay.
They just need to submit it and then it can be with the $12.95 and all the normal procedures.
Okay.
For contract amendments.
Okay.
Yep. So I want to, y'all take a motion to approve for that to be added to the contract so he can do that.
Oh, so.
Okay, she just said.
That's to add it to the contract, but I guess we could make a motion to just approve it as a separate fee for
So,
this
but
time?
he mentioned adding it to the budget, and the
Right.
budget is an exhibit to the contract, and that's, I
Okay.
mean, it's exactly the same thing we
So we
did
did
the
the
last
mulch.
time, Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah, can I just input that last month we came and we discussed that the park needed a post-emergent treatment. So halfway through the month, I was able to get pricing together, sent that to Donald, sent that to Crystal. It was a low amount, we just did pure materials cost, no labor, we just wanted to get out there and get it done, get it approved. So that's been completed. Should be, I mean, if you were to go to the park at this point, you'd probably already see the weeds dying off, so we got that taken care of. And we did already get the hybrid fertilizer. There's no real downside to switching to a hybrid from the organic. Organic is essentially, the objective is to improve the microbial health of the soil, but that doesn't mean you can't achieve that with the hybrid. It's just different types of fertilizer. So having this hybrid fertilizer with a higher nitrogen content is going to really just boost the grass. I mean, within a few weeks, you'll see it green up quite a bit. So per contracted with organic, we're proposing a hybrid. We won't even get into cost differences because it's minimal when it comes to switching them out.
So no budget amendment.
No budget amendment for the fertilizer, just a spec or a specification amendment.
Okay.
The post-emergent would be added.
The post-emergent would be
In addition to the contract.
That's correct.
In addition to the contract or part of the contract?
How would you like it? Because
It doesn't matter to
for
me.
next
I'm
year,
just
we
trying
might-
to understand, is it gonna be part of a budgeted item that's already approved?
Yes.
Okay, then it requires an amendment to the contract.
Sure.
To amend that budget.
We'll do it the same way we did the mulch previously. Give you the schedule.
It's just the exhibit that changes. Just like with, Double Oak's budget for the work that they do, it's the way it's been all along with yours. It's a budget amendment to the exhibit. Just gets attached to the document that says amendment to the contract. One pager. It's very easy. Just needs to be memorialized.
Okay. Okay.
All right. We can quickly just look at my report. I know Donald covered some of the more like miscellaneous items that are sticking out. Everything that's in my report is primarily just what we've done for the month and what we've got planned or, perspective looking forward. So first page, you'll see the service report. Those are the services that we provided during the month of June. Barring fertilization, that was actually set for August, but since James came to us with the concerns about the grass, we're gonna move that up 2 months. At least that's what Crystal said, that would be okay. I don't know if y'all think differently, so just let us know your thoughts on that. But just given James' complaint on the way that the grass is looking out there, we think it'll help. It doesn't make a difference if you do it now or later, really. And if we move it up, then we wouldn't charge additional for fertilization. We could just call that the second fertilization for the year and go do it like that.
And it's supposed to be raining, so fertilization's great right now.
Oh my gosh, it'll take off.
Yeah.
It'll look great.
Okay.
So aeration was completed. That's one of those items that we do just once a year. 6/27 is when we got going on that. We had a few more areas that were left out that day, so those got completed today. But that is completely done. So aeration. You got some photos on the very last page of the report if you wanted to see, and then I've got a lot more photos. If you needed those at any point, you could reach out to me and I could send those directly to you. But yeah, that work is very apparent in the park. It just looks like a bunch of dogs did their business everywhere, but it's really just soil. From the ground cover, weed control in the DG and the planting beds, decompose, granite monitoring the volume and raking, just to keep it even. We did additional work at no cost, removing low-hanging tree branches kind of throughout the park anywhere that we saw that was necessary. Just something that we did. Additionally, someone reached out, I don't remember who at this point, about 3 sycamore trees that fell, large sycamores.
The district resident.
It was a resident, and then someone.
Well, I assume they were a resident.
Yeah, and then someone forwarded that to me. So within the next 2 days, we were able to get back out there and put those trees in, restating the cost. Supervisor site visit, I was out there 5 times this month. Last visit was Friday with James and Donald, and these pictures were taken from June 26th that you see after the irrigation report. I'll skip the rest there because it's all very standard stuff that we kind of took care of, irrigation inspection. Some of those things Donald already talked about that are in the notes on the first page. We've got 2 outstanding proposals that have already been approved, so those are to be completed tomorrow. That's just replanting of the bed at Clayton Park, which is 45 lantana, 45 1-gallon lantana. I think Troy mentioned that at the beginning of the meeting.
Is that by my rock?
That's the one. That's the one. So the plan right now.
But doesn't it look like somebody's just driving right through there with?
There had to be some kind of disturbance there, like to lose that amount of plants. If you look at the rest of the park and you see absolutely, no loss of plant life.
That's what I say. To me, I think, what did we decide on the rocks?
Well, that's kind of up to y'all. What we're doing right now, the plan for us is to install these 45, or if it's more than 45, we'll just cover that. And then we're gonna put a protective fencing around it as it establishes.
That's right, fencing, I remember.
But it's temporary fencing, just to allow it to establish, and so.
It's the orange fencing. It's the orange fencing that we put up when we did the when we did the grass over at the dog park.
Okay.
Yeah. And so.
Construction fencing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's the current plan. Let the plants establish, and lantana is resilient for the most part.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know what would happen to completely eradicate.
So how long are we gonna leave the fence up?
Probably 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, 2 weeks on the low end.
I was gonna say the lantana are gonna grow that fast in 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh well, we just let them establish, like take root. But if you want them to like expand and really get like nice and beautiful and take up the area, then we could leave it up as long as y'all desire.
Well, I don't want it to be a safety hazard, but I want it to allow the plants to definitely become
established.
Right.
There's some big lantana that don't have in there right now. I can't believe they're all dead on that side.
Well, like I say, to me, it looks like they're driving something over that because it's completely bare almost. So, like I say.
Yeah, we were looking the day, there's something definitely going on. We don't know if they're riding bicycles over.
Yeah, or ATVs or motorcycles or what, but okay. Okay.
So we'll get those installed. Donald mentioned the proposed amendment to the contract. Just a little bit of detail. It would be that price that he mentioned is about $3,500. Would be 1 treatment in spring, 1 treatment in summer, and 1 treatment in fall. The spring and fall treatments would be for broadleaf weeds, so just like kind of more flowery broadleaf, literally broadleaf weeds. Right now in summertime, we've got a lot of grassy weeds that are going kind of nuts out there. That typically requires like 1.5 applications, but that's all baked into the price as well.
Okay.
Like this time around, we'll be coming back to treat it again, even though, like I mentioned, we treated last week.
Okay.
So yeah, sometimes it takes a few applications to get rid of grassy weeds, and so that's what's required. If we want to keep it kind of beautiful and weed-free and golf course like James mentioned. And then irrigation, you talked about that hole over by the water fountain. That was a mainline leak, so really quite a lot of water was leaking out. It just blew a T, and we got that taken care of within, I believe, that same week.
Why do you think we blew a T?
It's just water pressure. Water pressure, sometimes those things, post-installation, it held up for how long? Now we're in the 3rd or 4th year of maintenance, so if it was just a weak point when the water got turned on, it just blew it when the water hit it. But we just go ahead and repair it as part of maintenance. We don't consider additional price.
Since you brought that up, I wonder if that's where that trail that we see that's right next to that. I wonder if there is someone riding a bike or something right through there. Heavy bike.
Looks like it. Looks like people just.
Because there's a trail right next to that me and him were standing there the other day. I'm like, it looks like someone's walking a trail through here. I'm like, why would they walk a trail through here and not take 4 more steps to just walk on the concrete? But maybe it's a bike. Maybe it's a motorbike. That's going on right there.
Okay. We did get locks on the back of the dog park, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. And then you get the irrigation reports on the next 2 pages, just details. Any work that was done out there to restore the irrigation, any leaks, all the zones, and the schedule that we're currently on. Then,
go ahead.
And aside from that, we've got all the photos in the photo report. I try to just take a photo of every inch of the park practically to give you guys a good idea of what it looks like. This is post-maintenance. James, when you went out there and you saw kind of what you saw and you were saying things aren't up to your speed, that was prior to maintenance. And we've had a lot of heavy rains this month with a lot of heat. That's going to make the weeds bloom. and we don't have a post-emergent treatment as we just established in the contract. So once we kind of get that on a yearly schedule, 3 times a year, with the spot treatment that we have in the contract is really gonna take care of any kind of issues that we have out there. I think that'll bring us up to the standard that James would like us to meet, and again, the fertilizer switch is gonna do us a lot of good too.
And I could tell progress was made between Monday's tour and Friday's tour. Bushes were trimmed, crepe myrtle were trimmed, weeds were pulled from AstroTurf. The aeration had taken place.
Yes.
There was definitely progress made in just 4 days.
Yes, we tried to jump on that as soon as we, heard that you had any kind of issue out there.
And the repair to the irrigation line as well for the main.
Yeah, and that's always going to be coming up here and there. I mean, even if it happens after we do our irrigation inspection, if someone reaches out and tells us that we have a leak, like what happened this month, we did our irrigation inspection pretty early. We'll be out there just as soon as possible to repair it.
Just for clarification for me, when you say water main, you don't actually mean the water main.
The main
right?
line.
Like the
for
district's
irrigation.
main line?
No,
their service line.
Irrigation,
Gotcha.
yeah, sorry.
That's what I want to make
Our
sure.
like smaller scale main.
I'm like, you're not digging up the main line.
Not the city main, correct, never.
It's not
No.
the city, it's the district.
Yeah.
Already backflow.
We wouldn't bother.
I'm just making sure that it's the service line for that irrigation.
No, you got it.
Gotcha.
Semantics.
So it's kind of a big one.
I understand. I understand when he said mainline, I was like, boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
What we consider main line.
Yeah. Okay.
Within irrigation terms. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions regarding the photos or the work that was completed this month.
Any questions? Do I have a motion?
So there's no proposals to approve this?
The proposal is the post-emergent that
Right.
Donald mentioned.
Yeah,
That I can give you that exact amount. I do have it. I completed it Friday, but I did not get home.
Yeah,
until
but that's gotta be
way late.
submitted, so. We're just approving.
Are we
the
talking,
report.
is that part of the contract amendment, correct?
This will be the contract amendment.
So
send it separately.
just send it, so it can be attached to an amendment,
Okay.
and then presented at the next meeting to amend the contract.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
I'll make a motion to approve the report.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
District Communications Report.
You also have item 15.
Update on development of recreational facilities, including capital recreation facilities, projects, design, preliminary work.
So there were a couple of things here. Number one, there was a hike and bike maintenance agreement that was submitted by Flood Control. This is what was previously authorized. Y'all authorized Tara and Kelly to kind of work to kind of get this agreement put together as part and parcel of your, it goes hand in hand with the park bond application that was submitted as it relates to the utilization of the facilities that are owned by Flood Control, the various drainage facilities. But even though this is necessary as it relates to the pending park bond application, kind of going back a little bit, I just want to make sure that you all are intending to keep that park bond application in place, because if you're planning to pull it at any point, then you would not need to enter into this contract with the county, because you were basically saying that you were going to put in those trails and that you were going to maintain them and maintain the facilities around them. And that would be part of that park bond application. So I don't know if you all do still intend to do this. We just got this updated version of it on Thursday. But part of that as well, sort of, I think, goes back to an email that Troy sent with regard to sidewalk projects with Precinct 3. I emailed that out to everybody. I believe it's also in your packets. Troy, I don't know if you want to talk about that. But
Well, so yeah, Precinct 3 has, and actually there's another flyer.
So the third one was the application.
Right,
Yeah,
so there was an
sign up.
application, but then there's also a flyer that Precinct 3, Tom Ramsey's deal just sent out, saying, calling all MUD representatives and board members, they're having a presentation at the community center off in Cypresswood at the end of July. But everything I'm hearing is I know in the past, talking with Kelly and Tara, when it was mentioned, it was precinct 3 don't want to do nothing. But now they're making steady announcements of, we want to work with different entities to put in sidewalks and stuff.
I don't believe I said that the precinct didn't want to do anything. They're always calling for things, but there were problems along Woodland Hills where you guys were wanting to put the sidewalks, either space issues or one area it's so steep you'd have to have retaining walls.
Right, but that was the whole district. I mean, I know there was that deal, we can't put in one in that one little specific area on Woodland Hills, but for everything else, I mean, if there's a way that we could partner with precinct 3 and they pay for a majority of it or something like that, I just don't see why
need to dig into what
we
they
would
will
not explore that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is what their application, I mean, they got a step-by-step application, and then there's that other flyer for attending their meeting.
I think this is the first time he's come out with this one, or that I've seen it. But I don't focus on sidewalks in general job. But the precincts do partner. It's just, are they going to want to partner down the trail on the channel or not? I mean, it's worth the application. I mean, if that's what.
Driving around town, I mean, it looks like they're partnering all over the place. I mean, there's all kinds of new trails everywhere.
But certainly as you get down the way, I mean, it's worth the discussion. I mean, that's how they're cleaning up that channel down the road.
Because I even noticed up in Kingwood near us, they put in a nice trail with benches and lights around the detention pond in Kingwood. I'm like,
one thing I don't understand, it says more than 20 pedestrians per hour in any given hour. 18 pedestrians per hour in any given 2 hours within a 24-hour period.
well, that's what they're giving us. That's how they.
But how do you estimate that?
Well, someone like, I guess, Tara, I mean.
Pedestrian, you actually do just like car counts, I think you do pedestrian counts. Like we do car counts for traffic counts for city ones, I think you do a pedestrian count, just the same. You have to station someone up there.
Oh,
yeah, literally.
Okay.
I mean, I'm hoping that's what we did before we approved ours, was we're assuming people are gonna use it, right?
Yeah, I'm sure we will, because
I mean, that's the assumption, so that's.
There's a trail down there that's being used by somebody.
And so that's what you could do that. You could currently count who's already walking it with it being dirt.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Sure, yeah.
So I don't know, I mean, I thought at this point that the bond was already submitted.
It is, but I mean, you can, as Regina had said before, the bond submitted with particular projects, but if you change the scope of what you want to do, you just do a change of scope application. And if you decide the project was gonna cost, $500,000, but we get a partnership, well, then that opens up $250,000 that you can spend on something else.
So it's not like you gotta stop to do this.
But you can. It was my point.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to, but you can.
Oh, okay.
It's still on the table at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, so you may as well let it go through the process. It was approved administratively complete on June 12th. It's under a 45-day expedited review, so in theory, it could be out by the end of July. You could sell in August and fund it in September and have funds available. In the meantime, you can be deciding what projects you want to do if there's an opportunity for funding and those types of things.
So it wouldn't really make sense to just pause the process just to explore.
But once you get the bond money, you don't want to hold on to it forever, right? Because of the arbitrage and things like that.
Okay.
But we do need to know if you want to go ahead and move forward with the signed and bike agreement, which covers these areas that are included in the park bonds that Kelly and Tara were authorized to go get, and they've had communications with them. So I'm only presenting it because they always send it to the attorney. So.
And it's strictly just a, I guess, use agreement. There's no
cost
or anything.
Well, I mean, you're responsible for maintaining the area around it, and if it's some work you did to put in the sidewalks or maintain the sidewalks causes damage to the drainage channel, then you've got to make those repairs. I mean, that would be very difficult, but yes, it's basically just a use agreement. I just didn't want y'all entering into an agreement
Right.
for something that you might then have to go back and pull back. I just
Because
wanted
they
to.
did ask for potential time frame.
Right.
How quickly are they wanting to respond?
Oh, today.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
yeah, because they have to put it on the commissioner's court agenda. This is not atypical with the county.
okay.
Kelly, they reached out to him, what, 6 months ago?
It's taking a time.
And then, we get an email with a contract attached to it. That's pretty much how it goes. No, there was preliminary stuff done by Kelly and Tara with them to make sure that it had the correct information in it, but, this isn't really a negotiable point.
Right.
So,
but if we go to this town hall meeting and they are interested, will that change anything in
well,
that?
no, because this is with flood control, and this is to be able to use basically the banks of those gullies for your trails.
Okay,
That's what this is for.
okay.
This would just affect how we may potentially pay for something.
Funds or
Okay.
things.
Oh, okay.
It could hopefully, if they could help us, then that'll free up some money and we could do more.
Okay, I see that potential. Okay.
But yeah, I don't see that stopping that. So.
Okay.
So the way that they handle this is they send it via DocuSign. I told them to leave it blank as far as who the signatory was because it was in between times and there was going to be a change in the position of president. They had originally said, oh, Crystal, I said, no. No. So I said, I assume it will be Kim, but I'm not sure. So they have your information. So what will probably happen if you all approve this today, we'll let them know, make sure that they have your email address, and then they'll send it to you via DocuSign. And then you'll need to sign it via DocuSign and just finish it and send it back.
Okay.
That as soon as you'll authorize that.
Do I have a motion?
So I guess I'll make a motion to approve or move forward with the Harris County flood control, but then also to attend this town hall with precinct 3 on July 29th and try to communicate with them.
Do I have a second?
I'll say.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Communications report. Right. Well, the only thing that we have, and you've got your website committee now, but I just wanted to point out that with regard specifically to the iPad, we contacted Joe. We had thought Joe didn't want it anymore. Joe initially said she did want it, and then she brought it in today. She's turning it again. So we had gotten a proposal to get a new iPad when we thought Joe wanted to keep hers, which we have here. But what we can do is we can get with Opsinco to have them transition Joe's iPad to James Stubblefield and just go about what we were going to do initially until Joe changed her mind. So just wanted to make sure that, of course, we have a proposal here for a new iPad, which we obviously don't need. But with that said, just to kind of run through this with you, it is $100 an hour to set up the device. They're still going to have to clear out that device and reset it up for a new user. And also setting up any sort of migration that they need to do, and I don't think they would need to. And then document storage setup and management is $100 an hour. All of those are $100 an hour for however much time it takes. So I don't know if you all want to authorize the transition of Joe's iPad to Mr. Stubblefield.
Do you want her iPad?
It's fine. The way I said in the last meeting, if there was one available, existing one available, I would take that, but I didn't want the district to have to purchase a new one.
Right, but there wasn't. We thought Joe was going to give hers up, then she said she wasn't, then she decided to, so.
But that's fine. If there's an existing one, I'll take the existing one.
Okay.
Well, yeah, so we'll just need to authorize the transition,
Yeah, right.
swapping out.
Okay.
So make a motion to accept the communications report along with having Joe's iPad wiped and reset up for James.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor? Aye. Adopt resolution of the board casting its ballot for the election of a person to the board of directors of Harris Central Appraisal District.
Yeah, so this is an item that comes up once every couple of years. So as a conservation and reclamation district in Harris County, you have the authority to nominate and elect a board member to the HCAD board. They also have open elections as well, like just general regular elections, but then the rest of them are nominated and elected by the taxing jurisdictions. So we are in the nomination process. If you all wanted to nominate someone to, basically a Harris County taxpayer pretty much, to serve as a nominee for the Conservation and Reclamation District seat on the HCAD board, you're welcome to do that. I do want to point out to you, casting a ballot is sort of moot for you all, simply because as time has gone on, the way they structure the calculations for who has the voting authority has deminimized yours to be equivalent to 0 votes. So you could cast a vote and it wouldn't be counted because you don't have the voting power anymore as time has gone on. So, in fact, there are very few water districts that do. There are a couple of majorly sized ones that do, but very few do anymore. But we wanted to go ahead and include it on the agenda because it was something that historically has been a factor. Y'all don't have to act on it. You don't have to do anything with it. We just, want to make sure to put it on there to give you guys the ability to at least discuss it and understand it. And if you want to do anything.
Is anybody interested in that?
No. I think I'm concerned about possible conflicts with mine, so I'm going to bow out.
I'm not interested either. So.
Okay, so we'll take it off and then we'll just move on down the road.
Authorize attendance at the Association of Water Board Directors Texas Fall 2025 Seminar and 2026 Midwinter Conference.
So for each conference, we usually put this on the agenda for y'all to authorize.
I'll make a motion to authorize attendance at the seminar and conference.
Second. All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Annual review of districts amended post-issuance tax exempt debt compliance policy and review series 2021 final rebate and compliance reports.
So with regard to the post-issuance compliance policy, we are not recommending any changes to the policy at this time. We just have to have it on the agenda every year to discuss. There have been no changes to the Internal Revenue Code that would warrant changes to that policy. So that's why we're not recommending any changes. But you do have your annual reports here from ACS as it relates to their analysis of your varying tax exempt debt. I want to note that you do not currently owe any tax liability to the IRS or any arbitrage earnings that you may have received. We are certainly living in a world now where you issue debt at a much lower interest rate than you are capable of earning now, but at this point in time, you have not created an arbitrage or yield restriction event with regard to your financings. I also do want to note that there is so if you take a look at the Yield Restriction Compliance Service Program report, the second report here, that goes through all of your bond issues. It does reference in the executive summary starting on page 5 under your active bond issues that a liability may have accrued based upon their analysis of the test. However, after some discussion with them and making sure that they noted this, ACS noted this in their system, the timing of the reports that they were reviewing were such that it was within about the 1 or 2 month window where you all have high amounts of funds in your debt service account that are about to be paid for your principal and interest payments. They come within just a few days, frankly, of when those reports are prepared. So it looks like you have too much money in your debt service account, but you don't, because it's only for about a month. And so that has been noted now in their system. They're going to make sure to reference that and make sure that they have the right timing of the reports whenever they're putting together this analysis.
Okay.
But there's nothing that you need to do at this time with that. Just for your information. And it's been sent to the applicable consultant.
Attorney's report?
I don't have anything to report other than I did just late last week receive an email from a Mary Dubois. I don't know if some of you know her or don't know her. She used to be with Flame Energy. She is now with 5 Energy, and asked if she could be added to the agenda to make a presentation for 5 Energy to be your retail electric provider broker after your retail electric provider contract expires in 2029. But she would like to go ahead and come and make a presentation. I said that I would review it with you all and let her know what you said. So, what is your poison?
Her contract's not up to 2029.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of pointless to do a presentation now.
Mm-hmm.
How many times the rate's gonna change between now and then?
Right.
Yeah.
So, I'd say no. That's just,
No, waste of our time, waste of board's time.
Okay. Everybody good with that? Telling her no? Okay. We will let her know.
Okay. Review consultants' contracts and take any necessary actions on same.
The only thing that I'll suggest here is that if you all want to schedule a meeting that's not your regular meeting, to go ahead and authorize sending out a request for qualifications for legal services. That would probably be a good thing to do. That way you all can determine what sort of qualifications you require to be included in the statement of qualifications that they submit. You all want to schedule a special meeting to go ahead and do that. Just try to make sure the timeline is quicker than just one meeting a month. I figured that was something you want to do rather quickly.
you get any preference on date?
Nope. You can shoot something out there and we'll see. I have the 7th, I have the 14th.
We have a meeting on the 14th.
7th?
7th works for me.
7th, okay.
Wasn't there something on something?
You guys had a tour of the water plant, wastewater
That's in
plant
the evening, in the afternoon.
at 3:30.
Yeah. It shouldn't take.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I can have somebody here to just make sure that everything's handled with the notes and stuff. And just so you know, I mean, we have no problem sending out something like this. We send out RFQs for other types of professional services. It's not going to take much effort, and frankly, we would probably make sure to include certain information about the district that others might not. So if you wanted to get qualifications from more than one firm, we would just be prepared to tell us who that other firms are. So the 7th, you said, what time? At noon?
You want it noon or what? Best for everybody.
Yeah, noon should be, noon work for you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Okay, can we revisit the committees since Crystal resigned immediately?
Sure, I was actually gonna put that on your next agenda, but,
Can we revisit it since it's on the agenda for today?
yeah.
Okay. If y'all, this is all we're gonna do if y'all wanna boogie. Yes, sir? Okay, Parks Committee. Joe and James?
Joe resigned.
Oh, you're resigning?
Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Yeah, right after Crystal
Oh, I did not hear
resigned,
that
she
at all.
I
said, so
thought
did
she
I.
was, I thought she
Yeah.
was entertaining the idea. I didn't hear her say she resigned.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you say that at all.
Yeah, she said it right after.
Do you
Crystal
have,
did.
do you have a notice of a letter? Or a note? It can be handwritten. Just, it needs to be in writing, that's all.
That's all.
Right, so.
Do you want to resign? I know you said you were resigning. Do you want to resign?
Yeah, Joe. You haven't turned it in officially.
Well, I have some questions.
Or do you want to wait till next month or 2 weeks or do you want to stay?
Don't look at me, it's
Nobody's-
not my,
Yeah, it's your decision.
You tell us
Well-
what you want. So what questions do you have?
My questions are that the people that are taking care of us for so many years and have never had any problem whatsoever, I can't see turning around and looking for somebody else. Because when you've got somebody that is there for you and has been there for you for so many years, that, and holds a high esteem on their taking care of us, I don't go for that.
I can appreciate that. From my personal experiences, I do not doubt their knowledge. I do not doubt that they're acting in the best interest of the district. But I have issues with professionalism. I have issues with the attitudes. I have issues with, it's almost sometimes talking down to you to have a conversation. And that's as a resident and taxpayer sitting on the other end of the table. Now, I've only been on the board for a month, and
Well, if you have seen other boards and the fighting that goes on, absolutely horrible. Our board has never been that way. And,
but also too, nobody was getting fired today. This was to open up a conversation about seeking out other entities that might represent the board better than this. They wanted to put forth a case, they've done that.
so, I'm sorry, I asked the question specifically if 3 people had already decided that y'all were gonna go another route. And it was affirmed that 3 of you had already decided that, so.
We all said that we were considering going another route. Y'all jumped to the end of, okay, well, I'm gonna quit, I'm gonna resign, y'all do what y'all gonna do. So,
And how did Crystal know ahead of time to have her letter already typed
yeah,
up?
well, how did she already have a letter typed up, but she didn't know what was happening? You
I
also had
called you, I called
acting-
her, and I called Joe, just to let you all know what was on the agenda. To make sure you were aware that it was gonna be on the agenda. I talked to you, and basically the same conversation I had with you, I had with her, and I also had with her. Told them exactly the same things that I talked to you about. Okay? She said, well, if you resign or if you were terminated, then I am going to resign. I said, well, if you are going to do that, then you need to have a termination letter to do so. I am not going to
Did you
encourage
tell that to Joe?
Said the exact same thing to Joe. When she said the exact same thing to me. I didn't bring them up resigning. I don't want anybody to resign from a board. That's not my call to make though. Just like it's not my call to make whenever you said that you felt like that we should get involved in the middle of back and forth between board members. That's not my role to do something like that. Just like it's not my role to tell any of you or suggest to any of you that you resign, and I didn't do that. But I did tell her after she said that she was gonna resign if I left this district. I said, well, if that is something you're gonna do, I hope you don't do that, but if you do, you need to have a letter to do so. So the same thing. I mean, it's not a secret. I don't have any problem telling any of you what that was, what those conversations were. So.
Back to what I was saying is that I have great confidence in this firm. And it's always been held up high. And so I don't want, if it's going to be torn down, and because I have been at other people's and seeing what goes on there with them, okay? And at that time, there was just chaos and ugliness and everything, and I don't,
I get it.
that's what, I don't want that.
I work in a professional institution that's a paramilitary organization, and we thrive on structure.
My
So,
son is,
believe me, I understand that part of it. I'm not looking for chaos either.
yeah.
But the whole reason I got on here was to make changes. I've sat down there for 7, 8 years and graded my teeth while blank checks got signed, overpriced this, it just on and on and on. And finally said I can either sit here and continue to complain about it and be talked down to like a 3-year-old, or I can get on the board, be that one vote that might make a change or might make an improvement. And as far as I'm concerned, like I said in the meeting, everything's on the table. I'm not overly impressed with the architectural group. I don't have issues with every contractor the board employs, but there are certain ones that are below my expectations on things.
All I need to know is if we're keeping our attorney. And I hope wisely y'all will do that.
Right now, everything's on the table, so I can tell you, I can't speak for Troy, but everything's on the table. If it's not something you're comfortable with.
Joe, and as of right now, I have resigned effective when the board changes its designated meeting place, which would be about the time it would sign a new contract. If the board wants a proposal from statement of qualifications from my office, I'd be happy to provide it. But in order to kind of clear the path to do whatever it is that the board seeks to do, that's why it was best and easiest for me to go ahead and resign, to make that path clear. I'm trying to make it.
I gotta ask that too. If you're to do communication with us, what do we do? What do I tell all these guys? Do we still send stuff out to you? That's why I'm still here, because I'm waiting for that knowledge. That's why I'm still here, because I was like, I need to know if I'm supposed to still send stuff out or who this stuff goes to.
Yes.
To you? Okay.
Until what we'll do is we'll send it, I mean, I've never been in this situation before, but I've been on the other side of it. And what we would do is we would send out an email to let you know who the new counsel is and to start sending everything at the time that takes place. That's when that would happen. Unless the board wants it to be handled a different way.
Are we leaving this, is this what we're doing? We're leaving to go to somebody else?
Well, that's what the special meeting next month is.
The special meeting is next week will determine that, but right at this moment, they have resigned from services to the board.
So it's just up to you whether or not you want to stay on or.
Then you let them go is what you've done.
Yep.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
We will have to seek new legal counsel, whether it be the gentleman that was here to make a presentation or somebody in 2 weeks or whatever it may be.
And I want you to understand this, my suggestion that you take a look at this general counsel services situation. It was not intended to be self-serving whatsoever. It is absolutely intended to make sure that you follow what the water code says that you should do in order to procure those services, simply to protect you. So I just want to make sure that nobody thinks that I was doing that for any sort of self-serving reason, because it was not.
No, we appreciate your professionalism and we appreciate your attention to detail. The personal issues that I discussed earlier, I don't get emotionally involved or attached to this stuff.
I do.
And other people do, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe you do. It doesn't matter. Like, personally, I don't get emotionally attached to this stuff. As the board, every contractor is an employee of that board.
Of the district, yes.
Of the district. And whether it be you guys or Donald or anybody, but yeah, I just said I personally had issues. We individually talked away at a conference and then off and on this and that, and I'm not the only person that's had issues, and not just with the lawyer's office, with some of the other contractors as well, that were the bang for the buck's not there, the professionalism may not be there, the possibility of getting gouged on some items may be there. Just, it's, like I said, it's not anything personal, but, you know.
Yeah, no, you all don't have to have a reason. I mean, you can make this decision with or without a reason at all. I just wanted to know what the reason was. You know, I just to note in hindsight, you know, I do feel like Troy in particular, you pretty regularly reach out with questions, thoughtful, long questions that, you know, have you know, that require some work and some research. And I feel like I've always responded to you with pretty thoughtful, clear responses. And, you know, I expected that was probably going to be coming from you as well, that you would start asking certain questions, just like Troy has, and proceed on, you know, and that would be the way we would handle it, just as we've always done it. And it takes time. When new people are on the board, it takes time. And, you know, also my experience has been that when somebody who's been coming to meetings for a really long time, they have one perspective on things, that quite often changes after they've been on the board for a little while. And whether that be about me or any of the other consultants, that's typically what ends up happening. That's not what's going to happen here, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. You know, I understand. And you know, I have plenty to keep me busy. So you know, this isn't.
And I'm sorry, but one of my biggest problems when you and Crystal sitting up here whispering when we're trying to have a meeting.
Are we still recording all this?
Yes, you're still in the meeting.
That's fine. Okay.
When she asks me a question.
When she tells you, you know, Saturday we were talking about it, and y'all are whispering over here, and I'm like, what are y'all talking about? We're trying to discuss things down here. That was just one of those times. I don't know if she's asking you a question. I don't know what you're talking about, but you're always whispering down here when we're having a meeting down here.
I was appalled at the canvassing meeting when which canvassing meeting? Which one was it?
Crystal talked to Virginia.
This wasn't you. This was more Crystal. But
I definitely did not.
Snapped at
Virginia
over a per diem sheet on the table. I'm not even on the board yet. I'm sitting down here waiting for the election results to be certified, and it was to treat somebody like that. This was only said mostly on Crystal. I have no problem saying this to Crystal's face, but I was appalled at her snapping at her that way. And
so that was one of the things that you mentioned to me on the phone the other day, and I didn't really say a whole lot about it other than to say it's not my job to get between board members, because it's not. You all are adults, and you all can talk to each other and work out your issues amongst each other as you need to. That's not my role. But I couldn't place what you were talking about with that.
That was on the canvassing meeting.
Right, but I was on video conference, and I wasn't here until the meeting started. So I didn't hear any of this. I don't know.
But people from your office were here.
Right, I understand, but they still couldn't have done anything about it. I mean, I don't know what
I know, but it's not the first time Crystal has stood up. Do you not remember the time that she got on to me because I voted because I didn't want all white crepe myrtles at the dog park? I wanted some color, and she got up and said, God almighty, Kim, you're voting over color?
Yeah, and I do remember that. I think that, you know, certainly you had every right to say something at that point in time to her. I had nothing, but I don't know why that has anything to do with me.
Well, to me, you're supposed to be the professional running this meeting.
I don't run this meeting. No. Y'all run this meeting.
There's been a lot of observance of maybe it's whispering, chatter, whatever, she's got her personal meals she takes, whatever. It's
And
just a
we
whole lot of.
offer, if
Maybe
you
you
have
can chalk
had,
it
you
up
have
to
had
a
special
really good
meals.
working relationship.
Kim has had special meals that she's
But
requested.
But I ate them at the meeting, I don't take them home.
But
She eats all of the regular food and then takes her meals home.
I've never noticed, I don't pay attention to any of that, for any of y'all.
Treatment of Virginia.
And when Virginia questioned her doing her PMs, that she was putting all these, she talked to this consultant, and blah, 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 and she was doing them. Do you remember that? When we were discussing? Virginia.
Yeah, that one meeting that she was questioning her.
Nobody else charges when we talk to the consultants. I call them all the time.
And y'all get to decide whether or not you approve per diem. I mean, yeah, I don't.
No, I was just
Well, yeah, now there's an opening
upholding.
on the Parks Committee.
She talked to Virginia shitty that day too. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Y'all run your meetings.
Welcome to
I don't.
Stay here, but.
Any of you have every right to say anything to each other that you need to say. You do just as much as Crystal does. But I don't understand.
I do as much work.
You have as much of a right as Crystal does. Crystal said whatever she wanted to say, you had every right to say whatever you wanted to say.
I'm not that petty.
Well, that's fine. I'm just
I
telling you.
know. But I want it to
Yeah,
stop.
I don't have any issues.
Well, she's not on the board anymore, so I guess it'll stop.
He works out at the.
But yeah, I mean, it would not, it's not unusual for the person sitting next to the attorney to ask the attorney questions during the meeting, or say, hey, where is this? Or, it's usually what it was, where's this in my packet, or where is this on that?
80% of the people were like,
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, if you have other concerns you wanna talk to me about, you're welcome to do it. I don't know if there's anything more to discuss, but, you know, I don't feel like I've done anything problematic, and
honestly,
They probably haven't.
Well, I've been, my husband and I came out
I appreciate that. Thank you.
years
Honey, are you
ago,
okay?
and it was just a one lane
No, I remember there was nothing there. There was 2 lane road there, attached to the road. What do you look like? Jotero?
Oh, does this conclude our meeting?
And
Well, it's up to you.
there was a gas station on the corner, the Diamond Shamrock.
We didn't have.
Oh.
No, we didn't have a gas station. We had no.
So the question was whether or not what Joe's gonna do.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, unless there's an actual resignation filed, then you just have to presume that it's.
And it's the most wonderful.
But if you want to appoint somebody to the maintenance position on the Parks Committee.
I was not in favor of the pond.
You wanna be on the
Parks
Parks
here,
Committee?
I wanna see them made as nice as they can, like you would make it if you do. And the grass looks crappy, and the bushes not replaced.
I'm sorry.
You know
Those
how,
benches
you know
not
how
gonna
we
be
got the dog park.
I'm calling this
Parks-
meeting
Parks
adjourned.
fine, too.
No,
Okay,
you know
okay,
how
so
we
you're
got,
not,
No.
you know how form.
no, okay.
Well, that's because when they were building houses out here, they had extra dirt.
Oh,
And they didn't want to
okay,
get
yeah,
ready.
yeah, I do
And
know
so we told them,